In this video, I'm going to start and sell an AI service completely from scratch. I'm going to do it live on video in front of you right now. I have no idea what the service is. I have no idea who the heck I'm even selling it to. And I don't even know what degree of results I'm generating. You're seeing all this stuff ahead of time, but I'm going to have my editor do the results in post right now so you guys can see them. First of all, replies. We received 78 total replies. Okay, you can see a lot of these replies right over here. I'm obviously going to blur and obfuscate customer details and stuff like that. These are a mixture of positive, aka people saying, hey, this is awesome. I really want to move forward or have a call or whatever. Expressly negative, people telling us to go screw ourselves in all manner of fun ways. And then people asking follow-up questions about the service. So like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this and how it goes and so on and so forth. From this, 34 were opportunities. Opportunities just mean people that are asking us positive questions about the service or people that are expressly saying, hey, we should do this. From the 34 opportunities, we had 27 positive replies. And then we had 19, this is the number that just blows my mind, meeting requests. 19 people in just a few hours with zero distribution asked us to have a meeting. They gave us their phone numbers. They said, sure, this sounds great. Let's do it. They said, hey, does tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. work for you for a 15-minute chat? These people that I've never met in my life and people that have zero relation to me, were so interested in the offer that I put in front of them, this magical inscription of words that I gave them in an email, that they wanted to book a meeting with me and move forward with the service. Basically, I'm going to show you at any point in your journey how to go from zero opportunities to a calendar full of booked meetings using a very simple, straightforward process. Okay. Now, this isn't the best process out there, but it is my process. I use this at LeftClick, which is my AI consultancy, and we've driven hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue across a variety of industries. So all you need to do is just sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. And the last reason that I like doing this is because I'm seeing there's a big trend nowadays to only show like the end result, the beautiful, sexy leads or the fantastic MRR chart or whatnot, but not like what actually goes into it. And so my goal here is for me to live problem solve and narrate in front of you. So you don't just learn how to like mirror the outputs, which are very difficult to figure out, but you learn how to mirror the inputs as well. Okay. All right. So here's the process that we use over at LeftClick. Let's say I get a new client for some sort of cold email service. I'm determining 4 things. The first thing is I'm going to ask them, hey, first we need to determine which niches we are going to sell to. A lot of the time clients will have their own ideas as to this. I will completely disregard them and I'll say, let's go from first principles. Let's start from scratch. Once we figure out the niches, then we ideate the offers. Now, if you guys are like most people that I explain this to, you go, well, we already have offers. Why do we need to come up with new ones? The reason why is because your offers are going to depend on the niche. Okay. And we're not just going to do one offer or one niche. We're going to do multiple. And so different offers for different niches. The next is after we're done with the niches and the offers, we're going to go and scrape. And we're actually going to come up with multiple ways to scrape leads for different niches and for different offers. And then finally, the last step is we do the copywriting. And we mostly try and tune our offers to our niches as quickly as possible. We'll use the variables that we collect in our lead scraping in order to, give us some more creative freedom. Now, if you're just looking at this, you're like, okay, why are we doing multiple of these? Shouldn't you just pick like one product, one niche, one way of scraping, and then one way of copywriting? Well, the reason why is if you pick multiple, and I'm just going to pick 2 in this demo, then you get to multiply and cross all these, okay? So you get to pick a specific niche for a specific offer, for a specific lead scraping method, for specific copywriting. And then you get to pick another niche for a specific offer, for specific lead scraping and a specific lead copywriting. And then you just get to like multiply these out. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, if you just combine all these, is actually 16 variants. And because we're coming up with 16 different variants, we get to test a lot of surface area very quickly to figure out what magical combination of all these things works the best. Because what I think a lot of people do is they will see some dude on YouTube like myself, and the dude on YouTube will say, you need to scrape this niche and you need to do it in this particular way, and you need to send them this sort of copy, and your offer needs to be structured like this. Rather than just like take that at face value and just trust me, or trust somebody else, because all this is speculation, why don't you just figure it out for yourself? There is no better tutor or mentor than the actual market. And if you just test a bunch of things, you very quickly figure out what works and what doesn't, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. At least that's what I think I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be coming up with 16 different variants across a variety of niches, offers, lead scraping mechanisms, and then copy. And then by the end of it, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to test all these against each other, okay? Sort of like little highways. Imagine I replicate this 16 times. And then we're just going to see which ones go the furthest, the easiest. Imagine you're at like some carnival or arcade and you're playing that horse racing game. You press the button really fast and the horses go across the thing. We're going to see which ones go the farthest, which ones give us the biggest return for the least input. And then what we're going to do next is we're just going to drop them. We're going to drop the things that suck, and then we're going to continue the things that work and then continue iterating. And then if you map your reply rate over time, okay, and this is a very common phenomenon, if you map your reply rate over time, the very first iteration is almost always going to be the worst. So even if we get 2% on our first sequence, we're going to drop a bunch of that non-performers and our average is going to go up to 3. Then we're going to drop some more of our non-performers. Average is going to go to 3.5. Then we're going to do a bunch of copywriting iteration. And who knows, maybe our average will go up to 5% or more. I'd certainly like it to go up to 5% or more. And in this way, your copy always just gets better over time. So if you guys just picked one, if you guys just like picked one niche, one offer, one lead scraping variant, one copywriting variant, like it's possible that you get really lucky and then you end up here in your very first go at like a 5% reply rate, but it's unlikely. I myself really like gradual, slow improvements, and that's how I'm going to be showing you guys, my lead scraping strategy and mechanism in this video. And I'm just going to fix my camera because it gets really annoying every time I do this. It slowly goes over to the left. Okay, cool. So now that we know what we're going to do, let's start with the very first. I'm just going to bin this up here, and this is going to be our little sheet. Let's start with niches. So what are the niches that I'm going to be targeting? Well, I have a couple of ideas already. But before I tell you the specific ideas that I have, let me show you guys some criteria that I always use every time that I pick niches for myself and or my customers. The very first criteria is I highly recommend, if you're going to do this using some sort of digital outreach method, you make sure that the niche you're targeting is digital in the first place. So I used to go door to door way back in the day for a good couple of years, and I probably knocked on over 10,000 doors throughout my sales career. Brick and mortar is possible, and you can deliver great things to brick and mortar businesses, but most of them don't have a lot of money, and then they're also constrained by the fact that they have to pay like a physical rent thing. And if there's some retailer, then they have inventory costs, and basically local businesses are just more complicated. If you work with a digital business, like an agency or an e-commerce or whatever, something like that, you eliminate most of those costs, and then they get to allocate a disproportionate proportion of their budget to growth, which is ultimately my main selling points. That's typically what I do. The second criteria is I recommend if you guys are going to pick a niche, just make sure it's high ticket, aka it sells over $5,000 a pop per ticket, aka per purchase. This is termed average order value, and this is a term you're going to be seeing a lot if you guys do any sort of lead generation at scale. But basically, what you do not want to be selling is you don't want to be selling like a low-touch, low-ticket SaaS product for $5 a month through, the mechanisms I'm going to show you here. Because $5 a month times 12 months in a year is like $60. The amount of time and energy it would take for you to basically deliver a return on investment for customers that you're acquiring at $60 a month would be a lot. Consider if I'm doing some sort of AI service for a customer that's high ticket, and I can help them get just one more customer every month, which is pretty low for any reasonable service, especially if you implement the techniques and tactics I'm talking about today. A single customer a month is an additional $5K a month in revenue that you're driving, right? That means that if you charge $5,000, let's say like that is how much you cost, all it takes for you to completely balance this spreadsheet is just generating one more customer every month. That's nothing. That's really easy to justify for most customers. Now, if you're generating $60 a month in value, how many of these do you have to generate? You have to generate almost 100. You have to generate 86 customers or something a month. The point I'm trying to make is you're much better off in any sort of B2B environment picking a high ticket service as opposed to a low ticket service. The last thing I'm going to mention is compliance. I generally just don't like working in industries that have any sort of compliance whatsoever because compliance is just a massive pain in my ass. Like I don't want to have to deal with de-anonymizing customer data or, specific data protection guidelines. This is unfortunately very present and very common if you're somewhere in like a European country because of GDPR regulations and stuff like that. And so compliance is a lot wider. That's specifically why I target the United States of America, because a lot of the industries just tend to be the wild, wild west. And that's discounting things like labor productivity, which is another important part of high ticket. So these are the three criteria that I always use to determine a niche, okay? Once you've determined the various criteria here, you can actually go about determining the niche. And so I just have two niches that I'm going to target today. The first is basically just a tried and true classic. I always go with this because it's just one of the easiest things I've found to generate leads. Maybe it's just the specific way that I generate leads. Maybe it's the specific language that I use or just the fact that I've worked in the agency space forever. But I really like selling to agencies. So today, I think I'm going to pick either between PPC agencies or some sort of design agency. I was even considering doing some sort of like SEO, AEO, that's like AI engine optimization agency. I'm not really sure which one, but it'll be one of these. And then I'm thinking I'm also going to do coaches/consultants. And I don't have like a specific niche or specific like subset of coaches or consultants just yet. I'm going to play around with it, but these are what I'm thinking of as my initial niche ideas. I think these are totally fine. And my recommendation is anytime you're thinking about getting started in a lead gen journey, literally don't spend more than like 20 minutes picking this. I spent a grand total of 3 minutes picking this while I was staring blankly at my wall immediately before recording this video, that wall right over there. So like, this is not something that you guys need to stop at. The best move is just to get started, start talking to people. And even if it's not your niche or whatever, you'll figure that out much quicker talking to them than you will just like thinking and doing your market analysis and stuff like that. Okay. We live in an era where you can literally talk to real human beings that have money in their hands that want to buy your thing in like minutes if you're good. So these are the two niches I'm going to move forward with for today's lead gen thing. So I don't know if it's PPC design or whatever. Maybe you guys have already seen in the screenshot my editor will have posted, but we'll see. Once we're done with that, okay, the second step is we need some sort of offers, okay? So offers contain 3 components. The first is you need problems to solve. And these problems ideally are like hot button and pretty high ticket problems. The second is you need some sort of solution, or I'm going to go double quotes here, solution, or at least the shape of a solution. Now, a point that I've repeatedly made in recent content is anytime you're doing like any sort of marketing, it's better to sell the thing before you build the thing. So rather than trying to build the perfect product, which satisfies all of these needs that you've so perfectly randomly known about, it's better to like sell the idea of a product to as many people as humanly possible, and then have them give you their feedback on the product as quickly as possible. Because then when you actually go to build the product, you'll be able to build directly from client concerns or prospect needs versus just like your own opinions on things. Kind of similar to just like cold email in general and why I do so many variants, right? What this means is you don't actually ever have to have a product in order to sell a product, because the only thing that you are ever selling on a sales call or on some sort of demo is literally always just like the idea of a product anyway. So what we can do is we could actually just take an idea of a product, we could put in front of like 5,000 people, and we could have, 100 of those people get back to us and say, hey, does that product include this feature? Hey, how much is this product? Is this product between $2,000 to $4,000? Because the one I'm currently using is $1,500. How about this or that or that? Or have you thought of this? And then what we do is we build the product when somebody actually asks us and wants to buy it. So it's kind of like a backhanded way of doing things. Most people think that they build and then they will come, but it's actually sell first and then you build after. So I say this because this is very easy to do. We basically just come up with a bunch of benefits for some hypothetical product that we think we could make. So I'm going to run you guys through a bunch of AI automations and workflows and stuff like that we could use for this. Anyway, once we're done with these things, we need the time-bound guarantee. And then time-bound guarantee is pretty easy. In my case, it's just going to be, I will deliver, basically, X for you in Y time or Z. Some examples of this: I will get you 20 booked meetings in the next 60 days, or you don't pay. I will get you $10,000 in new clients over the course of the next 6 months, or I will continue working for free until I get them for you. Like, there are a variety of different ideas. I'm realizing I put this thing the wrong way again. God damn it, Nick. A variety of different ways you could do risk mitigation. I'll cover a bunch of examples here later. Okay, so what do we have now? We have the niches. We're going to do agencies, coaches, and consultants. And now we have sort of our next task list, which is we need to find some problems to solve. So what is the best way to find problems to solve? Literally the best place I have found to find problems is a platform called Reddit. So I'm going to show you some ways to use AI and automation to very quickly find problems that are actively worth solving. But I always recommend just going to Reddit first. Reason why is because Reddit is a user-generated content platform, or UGC. You'll see that word pretty often. And essentially what it means is like real human beings ask questions on Reddit. Real human beings engage in communities on Reddit. These are people that are actually in target markets. They're not just like, it's not just like an AI answer. It's not just like some bullshit. It's like people that like actually have problems that are looking to have them solved. They ask questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape Reddit basically very quickly using a third-party app called Gummy Search. Gummy Search is really easy. You can go and create an account. I think as of the time of this recording, it's like totally free, but you just click make new audience and then you just type your audience in. So let's see, what are my audiences? Let's just do PPC agencies. I'm going to go PPC agency. Then I'm going to find communities. What this is going to do is it's actually going to go out and it's going to grab subreddits that contain or are related to the term pay-per-click ads. It's going to get like pay-per-click ad communities, r/PPC probably, r/pay-per-click ads, There you go. Found 45 subreddits. We have r/PPC, Amazon PPC, Google Ads, PPC community, Amazon PPC management, Amazon PPC ads, right? These are all paid per click ads and communities that teach people how to do so. So it's automatically going to select the groups for me. I'm not affiliated with these guys whatsoever, but if it's not clear, I think these guys are freaking awesome. And then I'm just going to click create audience. What's really cool is once you have this, it shows you some metrics like growth rates for individual communities or subreddits. Okay, and then you can also do things like look for problems. The way you do this is use their keyword search feature and just type like I hate or something like that. Now, if you get a bunch of posts that say the word I hate, odds are it's problems that people suffer from that they feel very strongly about. So if I were to go onto Reddit and type I hate ad creatives or something, odds are that post is going to tell me all about a hot button pressing problem within the PPC community about a specific thing. So what my goal is here is I don't want all the problems, okay? I just want 3. So I'm going to go over here to my problems to solve. I'm going to start with PPC agencies because that's definitely where I'm leaning right now. And then I'm just going to be like, what are 3 problems that PPC agencies suffer from? I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, when you've done this enough, you'll find and realize that like a lot of the problems that people suffer from are similar across agencies and whatnot. Still, I'm just going to look. There's some search tips up here that you guys could use if you want to look for specific things, but I just always recommend starting with some sort of like I hate. So keyword search and audience, I hate. Okay, let's go to the top right-hand corner. Then I'm just going to sort by upvotes. I hate that companies expect SEO guys to be experts on PPC and vice versa. I know a thing or two about SEO, but nowhere near enough for it to be my daily task. I hate that companies expect this. I see it more and more. Thoughts? This is cool. I should note that it was written about 5 years ago, but I do think there is probably some value in this. And if you think about it, this is a very concrete problem that you could probably pretty easily solve. What you do is you find a bunch of PPC agencies and then you pitch them on systems that automate the production of like SEO optimized websites or SEO optimized pages. You give them some sort of AI optimization thing or some asset that they could sell to their own clients. So what is one problem? PPC guys get requested often for SEO work. And that took me a long ass time. So screw that. Why don't I just type this with my voice instead? What I'm going to do is I'm going to press T and I'm just going to write a lot of PPC agencies are commonly asked to do SEO work. They don't have anything easy to sell them. And now what I have done is I've shaved down a significant amount of my time. I mean, obviously I could copy and paste these, but yeah, better to reformulate the problem. So clearly there's some system that we can ideate. I'll worry about that when I get to solution, but that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I'm totally imagining some cross-sell system or some asset that we can very easily and clearly offer. What else do we got? I hate Yelp. Cool. Should I quit them? I'm a tax attorney solo with a minimum spend campaign on Yelp. Back in the day was good. Nope. I hate segmented by conversions and Google ads. I hate PPC ads, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so cool. So we're getting a lot of problems here, but I'm not going to say a lot of these problems are good. I wonder, could I just say like includes and then a question mark? If so, I'm just going to get a bunch of titles that include question marks. So title includes question mark. No, title question mark. So now I'm looking for titles that specifically have question marks. This is another hack that you guys could use to basically just look for things that people are asking for. So what am I finding? How are you scaling Google ads and campaigns while keeping CPA stable? Performance maximization for lead gen is a waste of money. Who even use scripts on Google anymore? I've launched a search campaign. I didn't make any sales. What should I hire an agency for? Seems pretty interesting. Wonder if I can just go grab the comments from that and just see. Everybody here is talking about things to hire an agency for, and they're saying, most agencies pitch the full package. I can build myself for this $20, $30. I can build landing pages, do basic CRO, handle site updates. I'm comfortable with tools and AI. Interesting. This is some Google ad strategy that you guys are using in 2025 that's working wonders. Bidding on competitors with the attention on AI feels like PPC operators and my rivals forgot the basics of defending against brand sniping or just writing it off as year-on-year CPC inflation and greedy Google. This is really interesting. I can imagine you could ideate a system that automates the process of finding competitors for a given ad. Once we found competitors for a given ad, we could then deliver a list of keywords or something like that. Or we could automate the process of generating a bunch of PPC ad copy. What we do is we pump in some sort of ad keyword. We find a bunch of other people that are ranking for that keyword. These are most likely to be competitors. We make a big list of those competitors, and then we just offer to create a report that has a one-page thing that maybe you can import into Google Ads. That sounds pretty cool to me. Let's make a little text box. Ads are significantly more efficient when you do things like brand sniping or competitor ad parasite strategies. So this seems like something that we could solve. We're getting a lot of people talking about not getting enough customers, clients, and so on and so forth. And then a lot of people that are dissatisfied with performance, which seems to be decreasing over time, as well as a loss of control, essentially, of like a Google Ads campaign. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm not like a Google PPC pro or anything like that, but clients are a very common need that a lot of people have. And if you're selling anything, you might as well sell clients. So let's just go over here and say, people are finding it difficult to find PPC clients using PPC ads. So what I could do is I could give them an alternative, which is obviously my cold email system, which finds PPC clients without the usage of PPC ads, which kind of makes sense. Odds are if you're selling PPC and you're doing it through PPC, you're going to be highly competed with by other people that are using PPC to sell to PPC. Okay, to make a long story short, I have these three quasi problems here. The first is the PPC to SEO cross-sell is difficult. The second is that, or at least an opportunity that I'm seeing, is that ads are much more efficient when you do brand sniping or some sort of competitor ad parasite strategy. So a preventative problem that we could solve is just making the process of generating these ads and bidding on competitor keywords and stuff really easy by giving people some sort of one-page report that has everything they need. And then finally, people are finding it difficult to find PPC clients using PPC ads. So we could realistically sell them some sort of PPC client generator using something that's not PPC. So probably something like cold email or whatnot. That sounds pretty cool to me. This was the problems. We will now create a list of potential solutions. What is the first solution? I'll do some sort of like SEO cross sell or upsell automation service. Top of my head, we'll start by automating the production of blog posts, do some sort of automated SEO audit plus AI deliverables. So we'll have like some good PDF or something like, I don't know, here's your one-page report that will automate the production of blog posts. And then maybe we'll do some sort of like scraping system. I like this. Scraping system that finds content online and parasites it. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I like these. I mean, I'm just pulling these out of my ass, but I think these are pretty reasonable. Okay, second one, ads are significantly more efficient, brand sniping. So this will be some sort of like automated system, automated brand sniping system. Let's do that. And maybe there'll be two parts here. The first is you pump in a brand, and then you get all, I don't know, ads, etc. I mean, that's a little more than just like the ad library, but I think there's still probably value in pitching that as a system. And the next is you generate immediate list of competitor ad keywords, etc. We could do that with AI really easily. And the first is people are finding it difficult to find PPC clients using PPC ads. So we could sell some cold email system. We could sell some sort of Upwork-based lead gen system. We could even sell some sort of like LinkedIn/X DM-based system. I think there are a lot of things that we could sell that would solve this particular problem. Cool, that seems pretty straightforward to me. Why don't we now do a little bit of work and find out coaches and consultants. So that's for PPC agencies. What I'm going to do is I'll go coaches and consultants. I should note that coaches and consultants aren't called coaches or consultants. Like they tend to have pretty different names. So in order for us to like find coaches or consultants, we're probably going to have to use some sort of different thing. Why don't we just go consulting? So we'll go back here. I'm going to create a new audience. We'll call it consulting. And if you're like a, I don't know, MSP, Or if you're like some sort of advisor, like you are orthogonal to a consultant. And so maybe we'll just keep all them in here. So our consultants for sure. Epic consultants, no idea what the heck that means. Strategy consulting for sure. IT consulting, cyber consulting, IT consulting definitely. MBB, McKinsey, Bain, or BCG, and other consulting firms. That's interesting. Strategy for business. McKinsey and Company, non-MBB. Okay, career guidance, no. Resource planning, no. Tokenomia, okay. AI freelancing, okay. Consulting careers, that looks good. MBA, maybe. Okay, these are good. Are accountants a form of consultants? No, not really. Okay, we're going to go create audience. So now we have 623,000 members in all of these. What I can do now is I can go title, then I can ask a question. Actually, why don't we do I hate, right? I really like I hate. That's way better. I hate my job. All right, well, I don't know if I'll be able to help with that. A system that replaces you. I hate my job and my life. I hate it here. I hate it here. It's been 8 months at EY and I hate it. Help, I hate working at all these big businesses. Wow, that is freaking brutal, man. Jesus. Listen, don't do things you hate. Don't do things you hate. I suppose an actual need for a lot of these coaches and consultants, and this is like kind of wild that I'm even saying this, but a big need, a lot of like the big four ones is they enjoy consulting, but they hate working at big four and other major consulting firms. That is a major problem, I would say. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something I could sell people that really like consulting, but that really hate working at like the big four and have like super shitty work-life balance or lack thereof. Hoteling and open office plans. That's interesting. 8 months at EY. The tech slide. What's this? This is interesting. Okay, no, I don't think consulting's the right angle here. I think realistically what we need is we need coach. We need coaching. Maybe I'll call it like business coaching or something like that. Or maybe what I mean to say is really info products, because people that run info products, they make a lot of money. They're high ticket for the most part. They're fully digital. So maybe I'll try that. PPC agencies and info. Okay, I'm just going to name this info products. I really only found one, digital product selling, which is unfortunate. Maybe digital products is the way to go. Okay, anyway, I ran out of audiences for my subscription or whatever, but this seems to be the right one. I'm just going to see if maybe I could open up my audiences and maybe delete one here. Just delete that. Got to go back here and then create an audience. Okay, that looks good. All right, so this is going to be pretty tough, but I just want to see. This really isn't all that different from you just like making a new one, like going on Reddit directly. But let's see if there's anything for I hate. I hate budgeting. So digital products selling, people hate budgeting. Okay. Or could I go title and then question mark? How to grow or scale. Let's sort these by upvotes. How are you making money right now? This is interesting. Digital products, sneaker reselling, basketball assistant coach, print on demand, selling OnlyFans content. Okay, newsletter memberships on WAP. That's pretty interesting. What I could do is I could go to all these people. As somebody that does coaching and consulting, newsletters are interesting. I could go to all of them and then I could sell them a system that automates the production of their newsletters. I could have a system that automates the production of their newsletters and I could probably pitch it as my own system. So that's cool. Newsletter production. Let's just do that. I like that a lot. Okay. Publishing games. One tap. Review stuff on Amazon. Oh, this is really fascinating. I'm glad that I went on this. Possible to sell digital products without an audience. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people here ask questions about this. communities tend to be one of the production mechanisms, but obviously audience building is big. So I'm wondering if I could sell them something related to audience building. Not being able to sell digital products without an audience. Okay, so I think realistically, my God, does this look terrible and disorganized? I think realistically, for this first problem and that third problem, the solutions would be similar. Because presumably, if people enjoy consulting, but they hate working at Big Four and other major consulting firms, then, they want to be like freelance consultants, right? So I could show them how to be freelance consultants. And then they're still going to have that big issue of like, hey, like, how do I get customers or clients that aren't handed to me on a silver platter or that I have to interview for, right? So anyway, I guess we have two solutions here. The first is some sort of like acquisition system, for sure. The second is some sort of like newsletter production system, which I just happened to scroll on, see that WAP thing, and it just made that like mental connection. So newsletter production system. The acquisition system, I guess we could break down into inbound and outbound. I don't know the degree to which you'd be able to do inbound if you're totally new, but maybe I could sell them on some sort of content or podcast or something like that. And then outbound, this is pretty easy. It's just like, hey, do you work for a Big Four thing, and have you considered doing something for yourself? I work with hundreds of like Big Four consultants that do X, Y, and Z. They make way more money outside of it than they do outside of their company than they ever did inside of their company. Particularly, the number one problem they just needed to solve was like the lead gen. Here's a solution to that. And then I just give them a solution. And if they still have their swanky Big Four salaries, then odds are they could probably pay for my stuff. So that's cool. This would just be some form of like cold DM / outbound system, obviously. As you can tell, the cold DM and outbound systems are very, very valuable. The newsletter production system, I'm thinking it'd be for people that already sell, so already are somewhat successful and have audiences. So what I would do is I would take their audience and content, and I would draft a welcome sequence, which is like welcome sequence by best principles. So the same welcome sequence used by multi-millionaires like Nick Sarayev and blah, blah, blah. And then in addition, we'd probably draft some sort of like course, which would be repurposed using AI from their materials. It'd be like an email course repurposed from their materials. And then you could use that as a way to improve the perceived value of the stuff. This would reduce the churn. And then maybe you can increase the price. Okay. This makes sense to me. I think you could sell basically any of these. Okay. All great systems or products literally start with just a sheet of needs like this. So to recap, PPC agencies. A lot of PPC agencies are commonly asked to do SEO work. They don't have anything easy to sell them, and a lot of them don't know. So what you can do is you can basically provide them a one-click, on a silver platter, cross-sell system that just like automates blog posts, scrape stuff for clients, and then automates SEO audits and AI deliverables. Easy, one-click system. You can upsell, you can improve your average ticket price by $3,000. Here it is. Next, automated brand sniping system. So a big issue is ads are significantly more efficient when you do things like brand sniping or competitor ad parasite strategies. However, this is like typically quite the manual process. So here's an automated brand snipe system. We'll go through your ads, automate the process of finding competitors using like AI deep research. We'll get all of the keywords that you need and just give them to you on a silver platter in some sort of like exact match structure or whatnot. Finally, people find it really difficult to find PPC clients using PPC ads. The reason why is because it's just very competitive. If you're a PPC agency, obviously you're going to try and sell the way that you know best. But there's an opportunity. You can sell them using a different system. So you could sell them on ads using cold email, or maybe you could sell them on cold email using ads. For coaches and consultants, 3 problems. The first is that they enjoy consulting, but they hate working at Big Four and other major consulting firms. The solution to that is starting your own business. The main problem with starting your own business is obviously customer acquisition, because you have great skills. That's why you're hired by a Big Four consulting firm, but you don't have any way to actually monetize your skill set outside of the interview process. So to them, I could sell an acquisition system. Acquisition always contains 2 parts. There's inbound, where people come in through some funnel. So let's say you want to be a content producer of some kind and build that. I can make it much easier for you to do so by building you some sort of content generation system that leverages everything you know about consulting, maybe applies it to a new industry. I can obviously sell them Maker School too. And then outbound, we could do cold DMs. We could do some sort of outbound thing saying, hey, X, Y, and Z, you have great social proof, right? Because you're a freaking previous Big Four consultant. Hey, XYZ, I work with major McKinsey consultant, whatever. So this is more consulting. And then coaches, newsletter production. So newsletter production systems for consultants and coaches that are like actively established, that have audience. I will automate the process of drafting a welcome sequence, drafting some sort of email course, repurposed from all of their materials. It'll reduce churn, increase the price. Awesome, guys. That is it. That's what I have so far. And this to me looks pretty freaking solid. So what have we done here? We've got the niches. We've got the problems to solve and the solutions. Now we just need some sort of time-bound guarantees. This is the part where, unfortunately, you're just going to sit and kind of squint for a little while until something makes sense. So automate blog posts, automate SEO audit and AI deliverables, scraping system that finds content online and parasites it. This seems pretty difficult right off the bat. How would I design a guarantee surrounding this? How would I design a guarantee? Well, guarantees are almost always of the form, I will do X for you in Y time or your money back. So for the SEO cross-seller upsell automation service, it's not the best I've seen or done, but I will write your next client 100 free SEO and AI optimized blog posts you can use to cross-sell them or value add your offer, plus give them an in-depth SEO audit for free for $0. Only if you absolutely love it, we'll ask you to pay, mostly on performance. And I won't unless you're 100% satisfied. Okay, so something like this is reasonable. I'm going to massage the language, but my recommendation is just get your first drafts done and then worry about like making it better later. Next up, automated brand sniping system. I will completely automate brand sniping for your next campaign for $0. It'll cost you nothing, and only if you love the system. $0 and 1 click. It'll cost you nothing, only if you love the system would I ever ask you to pay. This is cool because now we're really front loading the value. And I mean, ideally this would take you basically 0 time to set up. And then cold email system, upward lead gen system, LIX DM system. We have a couple options here. When you sell leads, you could sell results. So I will generate you, 20 booked appointments in the next 60 days, or you don't pay. You could also do something like, I will help you close $10,000 in the next, let's say an additional $10,000 in the next 30 days, or I'll keep working for free until I do. No brainer. Okay, like this, we have the time bounds. We don't have time bounds here because it's next client. We can't really do that with deliverable based. So, it's like next campaign, but these ones here are pretty time bounded, which is nice. So these are good 3 offers for our PPC agencies. Let's see, can we just copy these, paste these over here, and then generate the same? I guess we only have 2 major solutions. So the first is an acquisition system. So I will generate you your first, we could go as big as you want here. We could do maybe your first 100 followers. I will help you get your first 100 followers for free. Okay, actually I have it. It's not about the followers. It's about like what we're going to give them. So we could give them a total playbook. So I'll write you 10 YouTube video titles, 10 YouTube video outlines, and 10 YouTube video scripts for free in the next 72 hours. Only if you absolutely love them would I ask you to do what I ask you to pay. That seems pretty good. The idea here is we're obviously getting our foot in the door as many times as humanly possible. So these guarantees are basically like, hey, can we get on a call? And then I just wow you with my call skills, or can I just wow you with how ambitious I am? What else are we going to do here? I like this one because somebody's actually done this for me, and I've since paid them thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. I will get you 20 booked meetings. We could just actually copy that same booked appointments one because it is the same thing, right? So I will generate you 20 booked appointments. That's fine. In the next 60 days or you don't pay. And this last one, use that a production system. I'll write you a free welcome sequence plus email course in the next 72 hours. Guaranteed to make you X dollars the next 30 days, or you wouldn't pay a cent. They'll make you X dollars in the next 30 days, or you wouldn't pay a cent. Okay. This seems pretty reasonable. The $10,000 one, I don't know about that. Maybe. I mean, it depends on, how much social proof they have. But all these seem like reasonable offers. We can definitely use them to generate a tremendous amount of demand. So this one here, this is obviously just like an AI content generation system. We'd plug in like client details, maybe the client website. It would go through, learn everything about the client, and then just write a bunch of stuff. The first 3 or 4, we would like review ourselves just to make sure they're good and then make whatever edits we have to. And then we would basically automate the process of producing all the rest. This is fine because, I'm assuming we're all starting at 0 here and we're willing to spend a little bit of time in order to get the meeting. Brand sniping for your next campaign would be a system that would, again, just take in like either like the name of your company or maybe the ad stuff. And then it would call like some Appify actors. 20 booked appointments next 60 days you don't pay would be cold email. This would be some sort of like cold email nurturing. This would be another content generation system. This would be some cold email / sales system. This would be a content generation system at its core. The welcome sequence plus email course would be pretty cool. And then, this isn't my copy. These are just my offers. But in the copy, I'd mention like, hey, how's it going? Like we used a welcome sequence that generated XYZ for us. This is the same system that closed me this much money or my client this much money. I'll write you 10 YouTube titles that, I'm going to use the exact same system that XYZ guy uses to scale to 200,000 subscribers, right? These are all social proof based. Same thing here. Okay. I got all of the offers, which is nice. So now what we can do next is we can move on. And I'm going to have to crystallize these offers a little bit more later, but now we can move on to lead scraping, okay? As I mentioned earlier, there are a variety of different ways you could scrape leads. One of the big ways that most people used to scrape leads just up until quite recently was they used Apollo as their data source, and then they scraped it using a platform called Appify. Now, Appify, unfortunately, I think had some issues with Apollo or whatever, but anyway, to make a long story short, Scraper's no longer available. And so there are a variety of other means that have popped up since then to do the same sort of scraping, but they tend to cost a lot more, and they're also a lot less reliable. So a few of them are like what I would have used if this was, 2 weeks ago, would have been Leads Rapidly, Ample Leads, Export Apollo, these sorts of platforms, just because they're the cheapest. And then they would have been simple. We just would have went on Apollo, which is a lead scraping platform, made us a big list, and then just sent the URL over to either of these 3, and they would have returned us a thing. Unfortunately, I'm part of one of the biggest, I run one of the biggest lead scraping communities on earth right now, Maker School, right? So I have pretty up-to-date news and knowledge on what's going on. And as of right now, these 3 just take forever to send back, which is unfortunate. So instead of that, we're going to use some different platforms. I've had it open for quite a while now, but one of the ones I want to use is AirScale. And then I think I'm also going to make a custom platform scraper. That's going to be pretty interesting for school. But I want to go through that in a second. Here's just how I'm going to lay this out. So for the PPC agencies, for that first segment, I want to scrape in 2 different ways. Remember, I'm always going to be scraping in more than one way because I want to test the different scraping methods against each other. The first way is I'm going to look up PPC agencies on airscale.io. I'm not affiliated with these guys at all, just a platform that I want to run you guys through really quickly. This is going to find me a big list of companies, and then I'm going to take these companies into a platform called Any Mail Finder, which is just a platform that I like and I actually am affiliated with, and they offer just very cheap email enrichment. You could do this locally on AirScale, but I think that's actually cheaper if you do Any Mail Finder. And then the second, I'm going to use Sales Navigator. If you guys know, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is basically a way you can assemble a big list of leads in your target market. It's just the thing is you can't really do anything with those leads because they're all on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So you have to export them onto another platform. I'm going to be using one called Vane.io. Just because I have a 20% discount code, I'll make sure to include that down below in the description. Guy's really cool that runs it. He was very proactive and sent me a message. He was like, hey, we could talk about me giving you a discount. And then from Vane.io, I'm also going to use this email finder platform. I want you guys to know there's a variety of different approaches. You don't have to use any one of these, but I'll explain what they do. This is going to get us a list of companies. This list of companies doesn't mean anything by itself. In order to send outreach, we need a list of people. So an email finder, a decision maker search will find us decision makers at those companies. Decision makers will be like first names, last names, roles, and then email addresses. Sales Navigator, again, just gives us a big list of all the information we could ever possibly need about a person, except for the freaking email address. Vane.io allows us to pull Sales Navigator profiles into CSVs, and then we use an email finder to get the emails. So basically, the output of both of these is going to have a big email list. And over here, we're going to have a big email list. Well, I say big here, but I'm probably just going to scrape 1,000 or 2,000. That's for PPC agencies. And then for coaches and consultants, I want to do one of these through one of these methods. So I don't know. Why don't we do Sales Nav? So I'm just going to copy this basically, if I can. There we go. I know it says B right now, but please, may the force be with you. If you wait a second. Okay, wait a B. And then B, so I'm a coach or consultant, and I'm finding there are a lot of coaches and consultants on School, right? School being the platform that hosts the discovery mechanism for communities. This is mine, for instance, Maker School. There are thousands of communities just like this, and they're basically all information products like this ugly bastard right over here is selling. And to make a long story short, I think I could probably scrape School. I'm not 100% sure, but I wanted to, and that's one of the reasons why, it's not one of the reasons why I made this video, but I just wanted to for a while. I've experimented with it a number of times, but yeah, I'm just going to run you guys through a plausible School scraping thing. First, before I get into things, I'm just going to check things out myself. So this is school.com/discovery. Got all the different communities listed over here. What's going on, Mr. Jack Roberts? How you doing? Friends with Nate as well. I mean, I'm pretty well connected here, and I don't mean this to be me pitching School. But it's a big list of people that are basically running communities, aka they have some sort of audience, aka they're doing some sort of coaching or consulting. This fellow over here is obviously a pickleball coach, calligraphy coach. It's a weight loss style coach. It's a dance coach, right? These are literally my target market. So the question is, how do I scrape these? I have an idea. If I go to hobbies here, specific demographic or type of thing, there are 34 pages, right? That takes me to the 1,000th School community. I think what I could probably do is I could probably just build a brief scraper that goes from hobbies to music to money to spirituality to tech to health to sports, self-improvement, relationships, just iterates through all these, then basically just paginates, which means goes to the 34th page or whatever the last page is. I don't know if they all have 34 pages. And then from this, if you think about it, I don't know what's going on down here, but if you think about it, how many communities is that? That's 1,000 communities, right? Times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 categories. If I open up a few of these and I go to the people that create them, which is this link down here, I know for a fact that some of these are going to include links. And then from these links, I can enrich the profile. So do you see this? Look, this is a website link. Well, guess what? When you have a website, you can get an email address. That's just how it works. So I got 1 here out of 4. I got 2 out of 4. So I think I can probably get 40, 50% of these as websites. Now, this is not an actual website. It's a Beacons website, landing page type thing. But anyway, I guess to make a long story short, I have this kind of crazy hypothesis that I could scrape my own big School list. So I'm just going to give that a try. A really cool company, love School to death. And, I don't mean to show you guys how to scrape School because I think we should all scrape School or whatever, but just how to scrape a data source. And then this data source is really close to my home. These are all great, extraordinarily talented people in their own right. And yeah, School being a really good company, I guess I just want to bring a little bit more awareness to it and how it works. So yeah, great place to put, communities up and whatnot. Let's go and let's see how I could scrape this realistically. So first pass in my head would be, I would scrape this page, okay, for hobbies, okay. So 1, scrape communities. After that, I would click into this with an HTTP scraper or whatever, and then I would scrape the community, let's do overview here, and then page here. And then the third is I would scrape the profile of the person. and get links. This isn't going to be an automation video. This is a lead scraping video, but I want you guys to know that like, if you guys learn a few of the skills that I will quickly run through, I'm just going to make sure we like supercut the actual building of it. You guys can become really, really capable lead generators as well, because when you build your own custom lists as opposed to function off of things like AirScale or Vane or whatever, the lists are much higher quality because they don't get reached out to anywhere near as often. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's going to be my idea. We're going to do like a school custom scraper. And what's the math on that? It's like 8 to 9K leads times 50% or so links. That's my estimate. I don't know, I may be totally wrong. Times about a 50% enrichment rate, because you can get about 50% of emails from like a list of domains and stuff. Pretty reasonable. Like, I don't think I'm going to win any awards for this, but I think I'm going to do pretty well. So that's going to be like 2K leads, right? Okay. Why don't we just get, let's see. Why don't I just get like 1 to 2K leads for each of these? We'll go 1 to 2K for the first one, 1 to 2K for the second one. In total, we're going to have like, let's do 1 to 2K for this. It'll be 4 to 8K leads. And that should be okay for, like a week or so of sending a reasonable volume. Here are all of the lead scraping mechanisms. Now it's time to go through it. So our very first is for the PPC agencies, airscale.io, companies, and email finder DM, and then emails. So let me just assemble all of my platforms. We'll do the school stuff after this. So any email finder, awesome platform, as I mentioned to you guys before, that essentially they give me a bunch of credits to experiment with here. But essentially I have a big list of companies. All I do is I type in the company name. So let's do company name, leftclick.ai. This is my own business. If you type this business in, it'll search and it'll find email addresses for people that exist at this company. Okay, you can even go as far as doing decision maker search. I don't know if this works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, it looks like it did. It even finds the LinkedIn profile of the person, which is really sick, right? Now, every time you do that, you are going to be consuming a credit, and credits aren't cheap. They aren't super expensive either. If you think about it, you're literally getting a highway to the person's freaking frontal cortex. Insane. You could like put an offer in front of a billionaire tomorrow if you wanted to. But you need to keep in mind that leads cost a certain amount of money, and I don't know where the pricing is. I guess I'll go to add. Right, they have like annual credits, 12K credits per year, so about 1,000 credits a month. I'm going to use more than 1,000 today. I'm probably going to use like 3,000. It's $32 a month at 384. So if you buy more, then you get it for cheaper, right? Monthly 50, unlimited 50K for $500. So this ends up being like 0.001 per lead, which is probably the most economical, but not all of us are going to want to spend $400 or $500 freaking dollars. So they also have an enterprise thing. And then you could see like the cost scale. So if you buy 100,000 credits, it's $870. So it's 0.0087 per lead. If you buy hypothetically 1 million, then you save. Now, yeah, maybe pull people together. I mean, Maker School is a big community of people where anytime they want to do a bulk buy like this, usually some dude will be like, hey, I'm doing a bulk buy. Do you guys want to come in? And then they'll do something and then they'll get to amortize the price. If you guys have ways to do that, then please do. Otherwise, I'm just going to use my credits for Email Finder, and then we'll give it a rip. So that's that. And then AirScale is the platform that we're going to use in order to get all of the company names in the first place. I don't know if you guys ever use Clay. It's kind of like that, but basically it just lets you to find people or find companies. And then once we have all of this information, we can then pass that off to an email finder. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to go here, go to find companies. Basically what I want to do is I'm just going to leave all this agnostic for now. Company name, 1 to maybe 200, company size, growth, company signals. Don't care about any of this stuff. Company department. Why don't we just go advertising? We want PPC agencies, right? So there you go. What else do we want? We want keywords about the company. So what are the keywords going to be? They have this little like naming scheme, which is pretty wild. I'm just going to try PPC. If I just type PPC, what happens? It looks like we got 20,000 companies. All these companies are advertising service-based companies, right? This is a fair number of companies. Do I really want 20,000 PPC companies? No. If we just go back here, I wanted like 1 to 2,000. So I don't actually know how to go lower, but I'm going to give it a try. Let's just add a location here. Let's go United States, first of all. Okay, let's add United States and let's preview. Okay, now we have 6,000, which is pretty cool. And let's just remove this. Okay, we basically lost none of those companies. How about if we remove this? I want a little bit more. How about if we just go 1 to 10? That's probably most of it, right? Yeah. Keep in mind that like everything is asymmetrically distributed, right? Like the most companies are going to be small companies. The vast majority of companies are going to be small. Company department count, maybe marketing. Marketing change things. No, not really. Not meaningfully. Well, can we do not? PPC, not. Okay, maybe I don't even need to do this, actually. Why don't we just go over here? Now, why don't we preview, load all companies to a table. Here we go. Okay, and it looks like it's just going to do 1,000 to begin with. So that's great for us. We're just going to do maybe we're going to do more. Well, why don't we do like 2,000? Because when you get a list of companies and then you find people at the companies, you're not going to find the decision maker for every company. So it's always good at your very first point to always go a little bit above and beyond. Like just treat this as like your top of funnel, basically. It's good. We're going to get 2K here. Here, we might bump that down to 1K. And like the final actual email enrichment might be like 500, right? So it's actually better to make this bigger. I don't know what the numbers are. We've got to play around with it, but yeah. I should note that lead generation, or lead scraping rather, takes some time. So while this is running, we can, proceed through the rest of our stack. I don't mean to make it complicated, but I have a limited amount of time here. I obviously want this to be more impressive by saying, I did this in 35 minutes. It'll be more than 35 minutes. But yeah, because of that, I can just move on. So next up is Sales Navigator, Vane.io, and Email Finder email. So same thing, basically, for Sales Navigator. Just going to type in Sales Navigator here. And then I've experimented with a variety of different filters for this. So as you can see, PPC agency or growth agency or performance agency or growth marketing, a lot of different things you could do. But generally speaking, it's actually really funny that we have exactly this, because this is basically what I'm looking for, right? Yes, it's literally exactly what I'm looking for. What's worth noting is current job title: Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Technology Officer, Founder, Co-founder, Owner, Co-owner, Partner. So these are all job titles of decision makers at companies. We're looking for actual people now, not just the businesses. So we got a little too many results. I'm just going to try and drill this down a bit. I don't actually need that. I think this is just some demonstration search that I did for Maker School, United States, San Francisco Bears. This is just all in the US. And then what else? I'm doing most of the heavy lifting here through keywords, but could I just maybe remove a few of these? PPC agency, could I just cut that out? If I just press enter now, what am I going to see? Okay, consultant, Creators Camp Media, Elevate, LinkedIn Growth Agency, Tribe. Okay, these all seem like paid. Or can we go performance marketing? That's probably a better keyword. Is this going to delete my list? Okay, 9.5K is too many, so let's just see if we can go performance agency and maybe just bump this up to 1.5K. Or pay-per-click, or media buy. Can we do that? I don't know if this is going to work. We'll give it a try though. What you'll find in any sort of lead scraping thing is you're literally just you're going top to bottom, and then you're just running a query and then just looking at the top 5 or 10 people and being like, hey, is this in my target audience? If the answer to that question is no, I got to change my lead scraping filters, right? Pay-per-click's probably the thing that's really crushing this. So let's see if we could rein that back. 1.5K, perfect. This looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to do now is I just take this URL, okay, and then I go over to this service, Vane.io, and then this takes a while, so we want to get started on this sooner rather than later. And then I'm just going to go over here and then create an order. Okay. And then I got to paste the URL of the LinkedIn Sales Navigator thing, check it. It's actually going to go and it's going to find leads at this address by running a custom scraper. The custom scraper is going to go top to bottom. I'm just going to call this PPC agencies. This service allows you to get leads with emails if you want. You have to pay more money for it, obviously. I'm just using the email finder because, again, I have credits, and because I think on bulk, they're just a little bit cheaper than a lot of other services. But yeah, anyway, I have my PPC agencies here. And I'm already signed up to the service. What I had to do is I had to connect my LinkedIn. There are guides on how to do it. Basically, you need to copy over your LinkedIn cookie and stuff like that. Yeah, that's more or less how all this stuff works under the hood. Okay. All right. So now if you think about it, we basically have 2 lead sources running right now, right? AirScale is currently importing my companies. So that's great. And then this one is actually already making it to Vane.io. So this section over here, I'm just going to cover in green so we could kind of monitor our progress. This is occurring. This is occurring right now as well. And then this will occur. I don't need to do anything, basically, is what I'm trying to say for any of these. So the only thing I have to do now for these 2 is when these searches are done, I'm just going to go to any mail finder, run them, and then I'm going to color these out. Next up are for coaches and consultants. Now, a keen viewer will see that I've actually already ran a search for coaches and consultants a couple days ago. And that's because somebody wanted to target the specific audience. And that was actually part of the motivations behind why I picked that. This was an okay sort of list. It was like 3,000 or so people in Sales Nav. I'll run you guys through what that looks like. But if I just go back here, this is not the list. So this is my PPC list. So let me just go coaches or consultants. This is an okay list. It was not the best list. Unfortunately, I'll be honest, like the coaching niche, very difficult to get on LinkedIn for whatever reason. I feel like you're probably better off X or maybe Twitter or like Instagram. And basically my idea here is like, if you really wanted to get really high quality ones, like the best of the best of the best, which would take a fair amount of time, mind you, like I'm doing with school later, you would probably have to go through and then you would have to like follow pages that are really obscure, but like provide knowledge about information product sales and how to do coaching and stuff that like only people really in the industry would know. And I just don't really have the time for that. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'll just go business coaching. You'll notice how I'm keeping the same filters, and then I'm just applying logic to the keywords. This is because this searches through companies, company descriptions about basically everything. And I'm basically just looking for people or companies that have terms like business coaching, info products, or digital products, or I don't know, I'm just going to have ChatGPT help me. I'm looking to come up with a big list of keyword search terms for coaches and consultants, aka people that sell information products. I'm going to be pumping this into a search. Can you just find me a very exhaustive list of all of the different ways that they might refer to themselves on a platform like LinkedIn? Once you're done, just give me a big bullet point list. So let's just see what we can come up with here. Consultant, management consultant. Okay, sorry. This is way too consultant heavy. I want like coaches. Think like course sellers, information products, community owners, that sort of stuff. If you need examples, maybe think like Iman Gadzi, those sorts of guys. Okay, let's see this. I don't know where my keywords went. I think these have like disappeared. I'm just going to rerun this. Let's go back. So what do we have a moment ago? We had business coaching or online course or digital course or community builder or community owner or edupreneur. That's interesting. Never heard of that one. High ticket coach. That's cool. Or high ticket's a good term that they use all the time. Funnel coach or creator business coach or creator coach or content coach. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall here. Okay, let's not like pretend that this is going to be perfect. Let's just run this and see. Let's not try and just do it all in our heads. How many people are there? 46K. Wow. Okay, that's actually a shit ton. That's actually a ton. Coaching. Wow, this is way more people than I thought. This is a way better approach than whatever the hell I was doing before. Good Lord. Okay. Well, I mean, this is massive, right? So why don't I cut out the CEO terms again? And we'll just be founder, co-founder, owner, co-owner, partner. That'll dial the list back a little bit. 6K gone. And then why don't I use a filter, like post it on LinkedIn, 10K, right over here. And then that'll move that down to 9.5K. This is a much more like high activity signal. When you see stuff like this, odds are people are like actually showing up and commenting on LinkedIn, which means they're more likely to like be present in general. Some of these are, okay, let's just open up. So founder and coach Portia Obanks. This is like a coach, right? Social media rabbit holes. I'm just going to like open up 10 profiles. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This looks like somebody I could sell to. This looks like somebody I could sell to. I don't know about this one. Park Rangers Capital. Pre-seeded? No. So that's like 1 out of 3. That's a no. That's good. That's good. I may be running into some rate limits here because I am opening up a lot of tabs while Vane is doing searching. So anyway, basically 1 out of 5 said no. So we can assume that's about 80%, which is actually a pretty good list, all things aside. So why don't I go back to United States and then why don't I just go like San Francisco or something? Okay, I'm getting rate limited down here, bottom left-hand corner, just because I opened up a bunch of tabs. Be careful when you open up that many tabs because they can just literally just ban your LinkedIn. This happens when you're juggling multiple things like I am. But basically what we have to do now is we just have to change the geography. We have to have it say San Francisco. So I'm just going to wait until that's done. And then once it's done, I'll come back. Okay, just accessing the AirScale table now for my first search. And what do we got here? I think we have everything that we need. We help sellers turn their brand into, okay, cool, PPC, PPC, PPC. Next thing is we have to enrich some of these. So basically, in order for me to do anything, I need the company domain. So I'm just going to go over here, just make sure everything is good. Okay, so I need to find a domain with Google. I need to select the company name column here. So I'm going to search for the company domain using the company name. That makes sense. And I'm just going to use the existing company domain column. The rows are going to be all rows. So it's all 1,000. And it looks like it's 0.5 credits per company domain found. So I don't know how many I'm going to find. Honestly, I have no idea how many to expect. As we can see here, we're running a bunch of Googling. Oh, wow. Honestly, this is like LinkedIn. Some of these are like Amazon and stuff, but for the most part, it's finding the links. Probably like 70%, honestly. So we only have 1,000 here. So we're going to have like 70% of these. We're going to have 700. After we do email validation, it's going to be like 400 probably. So we need to get more rows into this. I don't actually know how to get more rows into this. I have no idea. But for now, let's just go PPC agencies. It's going to be the name of my table. This is my like dentist search from before. Cool. Anyway, that looks fine to me. We're also getting some information we can enrich with later, which is cool. So now we're going to go back to Excel address. So let's say we have companies. Now we just need to feed them into an email finder. Okay. So two things. We just need to get more companies, and then we need to feed them into an email finder, and then we're done. Okay, it's kind of hacky, but the way that I'm going to be dumping in more than 1,000 is I'm just going to be changing the company size filter. That'll give me 1,000. I'm going to load the companies into a new table. This new table is going to include all leads that are at company sizes between 11 to 200, as opposed to the first one, which is mostly predominantly 1 to 10. So we're going to access those results. They're obviously going to be adding them in. And while we're adding them in, just going to replace the name. With PPC agencies, we'll go, I think it was 11 to 200, right? And this first one here was 1 to 10. So now we've segmented this. We'll have 2,000 in here, and then I can run that same search just like I did a moment ago. Now we can just do the same thing. We go company name column. That's this right over here. We're just going to keep the company domain in, and the rows we're going to select are, it says 975. Let me just refresh this. We should have access to all 1,000 now because it took a bit for them to drip in. Go company name again, and then company domain. Okay, here we go. So all rows, 1,000, right? So now we're just going to run the same workflow again. And you're going to see it's going to just run and push all of these automatically over to Google or whatever to get the domains. Now that we're done with this, let's start exporting both of these lists. So I'm going to export this list, and I'm just going to download this as a CSV. I just want all of my rows, and I want it to be CSV file extension, so download. Okay, we have PPC agencies 1 to 10 now, and then let's just see how the website stuff's looking. Running through all of them. Cool, and just about done. So I'm just going to go to Google Sheets, and I'm just going to import them here, make sure that we could see the data. Always a good idea to import this data. So here's the 1 to 10 list. We'll just import that first. I always append, so stick that in here. What do we got? Cool, looks good. Just so I can see this a little more legibly, I'm just going to move this up. Cool, got all the company names. This is the AirScale 1 to 10 PPC agency websites. And I'm just going to copy this title, and I'll open up another one, and I'll call this one, I think it was 11 to 200. And then we'll go back to our AirScale, which was here. Export this now. We're going to download a CSV, all 1,000 records, click download. Cool. Move this in now. As you can see, very methodical process. When it's manual, it doesn't have to take a really long time. After you do it manually once, though, just automate it. Okay, and then I'm going to move this back up here. So actually, instead of me doing this in 2 separate, I'm just going to take all of them. So I'm going to grab all 1,000, and then down here, I'll just add another 1,000 rows. Paste this in, and over here, I'm just going to have like a type. So this is 11 to 200. And then this was 1 to 10. I don't know why this is happening. I don't like how like they're different. Oh, it took this as a date. Oh, that's really annoying. Can we just format all of this as like a number instead? Okay, well, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, well, anyway, hopefully it's, no, that's going to be off. There you go. Go 1 to 10, company size. Then down here, we'll go 11 to 200. All right, cool. So now we basically have all the information we need to actually enrich this. Let's just make this big. Company name, company domain, LinkedIn URL, location, industry, and then description, right? So now what I do is I'm going to call this my AirScale PPC agency websites 1 to 200. And then I'll also call this the current date. Going to download this puppy as a CSV, head over to any mail finder, add new bulk. And then what I want decision maker search because we're feeding in websites. Then just feed this in. It'll take the name automatically of the file, which is fine. Company name, company domain. That's good. Anything else? Nope, that's it. Cool. So we just map the company names to the company domains, okay? Then you process the list. Now, after you process the list, you'll see it'll say in progress. So I'm just going to mouse over this, and you'll see it's finding the vast, overwhelming majority of the data that I'm feeding in. Like overwhelming. It's like 80% or something like that, which is awesome for us. So what we can do now is, just because I want to keep track of everything, can now go any mail finder, decision maker, done. And let's check back in on our vein list. This is just about done. Okay, there we go. So we have 771 matching, 869 to check. Don't worry too much about that. I'm going to generate the file URL here, and then I'm going to download it. And then we just do the same thing that we did a moment ago. So I'm going to go sheets.new. Instead of AirScale PPC agency websites, okay, I'm just going to call this vein PPC agency. And is it just websites? No, it's like profiles. Okay. Go back over here to vein. Just downloaded it. Now we'll go import. And I'm just going to map this over. This one's a lot bigger, 4.7 megabytes. You know why? Because it's not just like a few columns. It actually takes like a lot of data. And you can see it right here. Right? Massive. Now, what's really cool is a lot of the emails in vein will actually automatically include the address. So if I go down here, I mean, we fed in 641 and then we saw 81 of them already had the email, right? I mean, that's just sick. We just have 81 emails. So what I always do, just to be clear, is just to be safe. So I will always just remove all the blanks. This will give me all of the actual emails. And I'm just going to copy this and I'll say emails included. Just going to paste this in now. So now I just have like a list of records with emails. And then now that I'm back over here, what I can do is I can sort this. So all the ones with emails are up top. Let's just redo that one more time. Sort this so all the ones with emails are up top, and then I'm just going to delete them from this sheet. That way, when I feed them in an email finder, yeah, I'm not going to have to worry about the ones with emails. But yeah, I mean, we just get a ton of information like automatically, right? Which is pretty sick. Sometimes people include like their email addresses directly in their thing. So silly of them. But yeah, now what we need to do is not decision maker search, just person name search. I'm going to upload my list. Our other list was called AirScale. This one will be called Vein PPC Agency Profiles. And then what we need is first names, okay, last names, and then what we need is company, corporate website right over here. So some of these won't have corporate websites. That's okay. Just feed in company name, company domain. Here you go. And then the company name will be this record right here. Cool. And this is how you're going to maximize the total enrichment, right? So as you can see, we're going to be somewhere around like 80% as well. Email Finder is pretty sweet. Our previous list is actually done now, so we can download this. Just going to head to preview here, and then I'm going to click download. I'm going to include all of them as a CSV. So now we have AirScale PPC agency websites. That is now done. And then heading back over here, we're already 25% of the way done this. 92%. Looks like we're going to end up with just a little over 1,000, which is great. 99. Come on, little guy, you can do it. That is a really cool little spinning animation, huh? I like that. And we're done. We found 975 emails. Awesome. I'm now going to download the hell out of them. As a CSV, same thing. And now we have all of the AnyMail Finder emails from that as well. So this ended up with about 1,000. So this is 1K. What was the other one? I think the other one was like 1.5. So we have more emails for this one, obviously. 1.5K. This is 1K. Now let's head over to our coaches and consultants list. Make sure that these are all good. On the LinkedIn Sales Navigator side of things, I just added in a few geography filters. So San Francisco Bay Area. I'll do Austin, Texas metropolitan area. I'm basically just going to try and can we just go like Texas and just San Francisco instead? I don't even want like Bay Area. We're just going to try and just get like to 1,500 to 2,000 probably. That's 1K. Can we do New York? Probably a lot of coaches and consultants in New York. Huh? Okay, that's 1.5K. Great. And we're just going to take the list, move that over to Vane, just as I did a moment ago, and then, we'll be good. Upload the person name search. And just to save you guys all the time, I have my list right over here. We got the company names, corporate website. Now we're just going to run a similar process. 90%. Man, we have way more records on this one, and it's operating at approximately the same speed. Really does make you wonder what the heck's going on under the hood, huh? Like, why does a 3K list take the same amount of time that a 1,000 list takes? We're doing the same endpoint. I would love to be able to get those other 1,000 emails. I would. Diminishing returns. There are a few platforms out there now offering waterfall enrichment, which is basically where, like, instead of just using AnyMail Finder or whatever, they will do API calls to AnyMail Finder and then ICPs and then a bunch of other platforms, just like one after the other. In reality, this does squeeze a little bit more value out of your list, but I just find it really complex, which is why I just stick to one group and then boom. It does make your leads a little more expensive though, so obviously your mileage varies and pick whatever the heck makes sense for you. And there we go. So I'm now going to download the 2,370. Download all. Let's head back over here and just write out the second last thing. We actually ended up with over, I think we ended up 2.3K, so a little bit more. But like, you can't get the same number of leads that you want every time, right? And that leaves us with the final one, which is our school custom scraper. I've left this to the end just because I want to be mindful of everybody's time. And, if you're not really being into development, that's okay. You could skip over this. But essentially what I need to do is I need to make a system that queries school in a variety of different ways, returns the category pages, then the individual school pages, and then the profile pages, and then scrapes them. So that sounds pretty complex. It's not super complex. I'm just going to see what platform I'm going to build it with first. So I'm just going to head over to N8N, which is a simple no-code platform that allows me to drag and drop and do some scraping. And the first thing I'm always going to do is I'm just always going to go over to N8N for cost reasons. Thank you, Khaled. He just paid for something on school, which is why you see it the way you see it. And I'm going to do an HTTP request. And the reason why this got blocked is probably because CloudFront or Cloudflare, whatever the service is behind school, automatically blocks all N8N IP address ranges. This tends to happen, unfortunately, because a lot of people are using this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try my Hail Mary. I'm going to run here. I'm going to see if I can grab the specific request and copy this as curl. Go back here. Import this as curl. I'm just going to see if maybe I can bypass this with some sort of user agent. Okay, and it looks like I did. I did actually bypass this with some user agent. Fantastic. So what that means is when I send the request, as long as I have all of these parameters like this, I can access the page. That said, I may run into some rate limits. I don't know. I basically got all the data on this page. You can't really tell, but this calligraphy school stuff, this is actually buried somewhere in this page. Looks like a lot of this data is carried forward nicely in this big JSON thing. I don't actually know if I could parse that out because it has a bunch of these weird backslashes. I'm not really sure. So let me just see if I could create some sort of JSON.data.toJSON string. Would this work? I don't really know. Let's execute this step and find out. No, we just have all those weird backslashes. Looks like the HTML stops right here. So I'm going to try and separate this at props, and then I'll try rebuilding this. Why don't I go split JSON? This is going to be a string data type. We'll execute it. We can now just concatenate this. .concat. There you go. Okay. So now I should be rebuilding this. Execute this. I'm just going to carry that forward here. So that way I'm going to have a very clear split JSON. So then I'm going to go parsed JSON. So I can go back here. What I want to do really, do this, and then I want to do that. Cool. So let's just go down here. Now that we parse the JSON, we should get a big list of objects, right? Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so now that we have this, what do we need to do? we need to get what looks like groups, which is pretty straightforward to do. So just so that I don't have to send a billion of these requests all the time, let's just say split page request. We'll say parse JSON. Now that I have a big list of groups, I just need to get all of these groups very quickly. So I could do this by going split out. I'm just going to go back here and move my various groups in. Output of this is going to be 30 items. Everything is going to be nicely arranged, and we're also going to get, hopefully, the link, right? I think we got the link. Let me see, Masterclass Academy. Okay, so could I just go school.com/Masterclass Academy? Okay, that looks good. So that worked. Can't we just like now do an HTTP request? Feed this puppy in, and then parse this out. First of all, let's not ping school discovery. Let's ping the first category, which is hobbies, and just verify there's no issue with what we've done here. Okay, now we can pin that. Then we can execute this with the new data. We should now get the string nicely split. Cool. We should now be able to execute this with that new data. Should now get all of our page props. Cool. Let's pin all these. Let's run this. I just like running them one at a time. It's just much easier for me. Oh, you know what? What about discovery page 2? All right, well, I think that's actually good. So maybe we're just going to scrape this a little bit differently. Once I have this, I can now split the page request, split it out, and I should get 30, right? Okay, cool. Now that I have 30, what I can do is as the URL, I could take the group name. Then what I can do is I can make a formula where I go https school.com/ this is going to be the group name /about. Okay, let's execute this. Oh, it's going to run 30 times, isn't it? Okay, well, that's actually fine. We just got all 30, which is fantastic. We're going to do the same thing, I think. What I want to do is, let's just see, what is the first ad for J Cool? Jacqueline. At Jacqueline. We get the information again. Let's see if we get them right where prop splits. Cool, it does. So we should actually just be able to like loop the same data. Just this doesn't happen again. I'll go limit. We'll just do 1. Here, I'll also limit. We'll just do 1. Split the page request and just do a bunch more splitting out. This page request file should be the same. This item should also be the same. So what we can do now, I believe, we could pin all of these outputs, execute the workflow from there with just one item. Grab the limit, that's fine. Split the page request. Okay, we got JSON, let's get the JSON. Cool, now we've sorted all this out. Now we have a bunch of items. Okay, and what I have here is the school scraper. I don't actually know if this is gonna work as well as I think it will. We'll give it a try. We start by returning a list of 34 numbers. We then do a lot of HTTP requests in a short period of time. Split the page, parse some JSON, split it out. We do more HTTP requests, so 1,000 full communities. That's a lot of HTTP requests. Would not be surprised if some of those did not work out. We'll see. Who knows? Okay, let's try a different strategy here. Why don't we go loop over items? Replace this, replace the done loop with the loop. Once that's done, we'll loop back, and then that'll be done, right? That looks good to me. Why don't we try that? Here, the loop is going to be, I don't know, 10 items instead of 1,000. And I'm just going to tidy this up here. When I run this, this will run, this will run, this will run. This will pass into a limit with 100 items, which is fine. We're then going to loop and we're going to pass the 10. So this should be okay, I hope. Okay, we're now adding them 10 at a time, which allows the data to go. That's nice. Probably just should have started with this, if you catch my drift. Not that big of a deal, though. All right, how's that website column doing? It's here, right? There's no hiding from the data, so 243 in 500. It's less than 50%. That's unfortunate. That is the good stuff. So, it worked off the limit of 100. I guess just let me clean up some tabs here. Going back to the database, yeah, that's good. I should now just be able to do all of them, so I'm just going to do the last 500 items. Wait, last 500 items. I just said last 100 items. So we should be able to do 400. Whatever. I'm just going to do last 500. And then instead of a batch size of 10, why don't we just do a batch size of like 30 or something? I think 30 would work. I mean, hopefully it would. We'll see. But yeah, clearly they're not actually actively throttling us, which is nice. All the time you have to do. You got to do different things to watch for the throttles, and like it just changed the way you construct your HTTP requests and your scraping. So I just need to make sure to deduplicate. Okay, and 500th item processed on the list. Now I'm just going to deduplicate this one more time. I'm going to do so with headers and with column ID. We end up with 923 unique rows. So there was obviously a tiny bit of drop off here. Not the end of the world on the drop off, but yeah. We'll just go school. Just let me just see. How about that email column? Because remember there was like an email column or something. Did we get any emails at all? No. Must be just be one of those columns that like devs put in and they don't really use right now. But okay, why don't we just filter first discovery with websites? Okay, and then we'll duplicate this and like, we should try and keep as many of these as possible. Discovery without websites. And then if I create future scrapers, then I'll just call it whatever the specific type of scraper is. So with websites, it's pretty easy. I just got to go back here and then I got to make a little filter. So I'm just going to do my little Google Sheets operators. And then websites, I'll just sort. So now I only have websites at the top. The rest of these records I will delete. This other one, I will do the exact opposite. I will filter by website, but I will sort Z to A. Oh, well, I guess it's still going to get all the websites. Who would have thought, huh? Anyway, then delete, and then I should just now be able to delete these rows, right? So now what I have is I have a list of without websites. So obviously the ones with the websites are the ones that I'm going to enrich, but I just wanted to have all that. In addition, I have first names and last names. These look pretty good. I have bios of the school communities, which are cool, and the communities themselves. I wish I had their revenues. That'd be really good, but it's not that big of a deal. And now that I have all this information, I can just download this. And then I'm going to go over here to this, go new bulk, and then I should be able to do person name because I actually have, company names, right? This is vein results. Whoa, sorry, wrong one. There you go. Cool. So now this should be school details scraper, school discovery with websites. What are some other ways that I could get like other information? I could, for instance, like search up the first name, last name, and then like personal website, and I could probably get like another 30% of these personal websites. I could probably do, oh boy, a variety of perplexity searches with like the community and like other things. I could probably get some more, but I'm okay with this. So I'm just going to go first name, last name, then domains. And just because these are my school brothers and sisters, I will hide as many of these as humanly possible. It's like we're going to get about 50% of these as I was expecting, maybe 40%, because not all these are actual valid. They're not actual valid. That makes sense. While I'm at it, maybe I can make another workflow that actually goes and enriches the rest of these. So why don't we go school discovery scraper, okay, right over here. I'll make another one called school website enrichment. A simple Google Sheet to OpenAI to update row flow that takes as input first name, last name, community name, and a bunch of other information about a person. feeds it into OpenAI's GPT-5 with web search enabled, and then sends a prompt that asks to return only the most likely website URL of the prospect. We then grab that and then update the website column in the Google Sheet. I'm going to have N8N like diagrammatically create a workflow for me while this is running. Looks like we found 159 emails, 159. That's way too few for me to do the thing. So I am going to have to do some enrichment, unfortunately. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to find another way to scrape, see if I can get some more information. This is the discovery scraper. Okay, so now we have a category scraper right over here. This is kind of like an advanced version of what I just built earlier. And in it, we do HTTP requests to the school backend, which is pretty nice. Once we're done with that, and these are going to take a while because we are paginating 34 times. Okay, and as we see, we're now dumping in all the records, which are nice. Just going to resize this. So this is a much better version of that initial scraper I made. This one has it's got legs, let's put it that way. This iterates over all of the pages inside of the various school categories here. So this is the hobbies one, goes through, grabs 1,000 records. Then it goes to music, grabs 1,000 or however many records there are there, and so on and so on and so forth. And then it dumps into the right-hand side here with the sort of like the category itself. And it does so 50 records at a time just to avoid any specific API issues. So pretty cool. I'm just going to let this thing run for a few minutes and then fill us all the way up. Now, I should note that the scraper technically is going to get something like 8,000 records. Just for the purposes of like our quick test, I'm not actually going to do all 8,000. I just want to get a bunch of leads in. Then I want to validate the leads as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to feed in, a group of leads enough so that I can hit maybe 1,000 or so, and then I'm just going to add them to my campaign. Okay, so I'm going to take my list. It has over 1,000 records in it, and I'm just going to feed this in. We're going to call this first names, last names, then we also want websites, right? So feed that in. I'll call this school category scraper instead. Then I'm just going to run it just like last time. Okay, and that's just about done. I'm just going to go grab some lunch, and then we should be able to check off the rest of this. Cool, school custom scraper, all good to go. I ended up with just over 1,000 leads, about 1,100. So with those 100 extra leads, who knows, maybe we can make some magic happen. But yeah, we now have our 4 audience sources done, which is fantastic, which means we can move on to the next step, which is logically, now that we have our niches, our offers, and we've scraped the leads, let's make this green because that's fun. Why don't we go and do some copy? So copywriting, how exactly do you write copy as effectively as possible? Well, I'm going to share with you guys a simple roadmap in this video. But before we get to that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a much faster and easier way of getting up and running, which is to literally just use copy that works really well on other people and then just massage it into your own campaign. And you may call this kind of cheap. You may call this kind of annoying, but I mean, like, there's a bunch of copy out there that everybody else has already spent a bunch of time and energy validating. So as somebody that just wants to get up and running as quickly as humanly possible and then make as much money as humanly possible with a particular offer or a particular set of offers for a particular set of niches, why not just use that copy? Now, I'm not saying copy the copy entirely. What I am saying, though, is just take the structure of the copy that works really well and then just start with that. That's much, much, much easier than anything else. So in this video, I'm just going to show you a bunch of copy that I have actually just straight up sniped from my mailbox. Copy that I think would work pretty well. Copy that I don't know how it would perform for my niche offer lead scraping combinations, but that I have a strong feeling that they would, okay? And then I'm also going to give you guys a little walkthrough of like the various steps that you need in copy in order to make it work well, at least from my experience. I also want you guys to know that like anytime you're sending some sort of outbound to somebody's email address, like, you got to know the rules first, but then once you know the rules, you can break them. And a lot of the copy that I'm going to show you guys is going to involve breaking the rules. Okay, so typically, what do we do? Well, we have some form of personalization. That form of personalization can either be with AI or it can just be written really well, so much so that it seems like it was written personally by you. Then you need to sort of like identify who you are and what you're doing. After that, you need to discuss your offer. And somewhere here, you also need to have some form of social proof. So I consider these 4 basically non-negotiables in any campaign. And you'll find that even like the shortest, smallest, and tightest campaigns out there will all have, like the ones that win, they'll all have some measure of these 4 kind of sprinkled in. Anywho, what I've done is I've gone through my mailbox and a bunch of others, and I've just found tons of copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste all of this copy right over here. I'm going to run through them all with you guys. And as mentioned, this isn't like the best copy in the whole wide world, but I'm not going to lie, some of this copy is pretty dang good. And I wouldn't be surprised if, it performs significantly better than anything I could write, at least to start. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the first one. XYZ for you first name. This is going to be the subject line. So it starts off with a yo-yo first name. Now you're probably like, what the hell? You don't talk like that to business owners. Well, the thing about cold email copy is that so many other people are now talking extraordinarily formally that if you stand out by making something really informal like this, it seems like you wrote it just for them. It seems human written, essentially. And so you get to leverage this tactic to significantly improve both how the emails are perceived, and then also the fact that like you wrote them yourself. People will forgive you significantly more for making grammatical mistakes or whatever versus their propensity to forgive you if you're like a robot or if you're just sending them some shitty template. So this is a good example of an email that seems personalized that actually isn't. XYZ for you first name. Yo-yo first name, not gonna lie. Short form, your content had me hooked. Binged you for 40 minutes yesterday, LOL. Your video on paraphrase subject was an exceptionally well executed educational piece of content. Claps to that. Anyway, your work plus digital product looks awesome. I know this is a bold ask, but I'm 110% confident I can help you add an extra 20 to 30K rev per month with a simple automation description. To make a long story short, I've worked with Social Proof and specialize in solving need. I'm pretty sure you're spending an inordinate amount of time dealing with Thing right now, and I'd basically fix this completely. Plus, I work mostly on performance, so it'd be a win-win. You down for a 30-minute talk this week? If yes, but you want more info, just let me know and I can record a video or send you a voice note with more on the strat. Thanks, Nick. This is how I would talk to somebody. Probably not myself, but certainly a lot of people are out there talking to each other like that. So that's the only thing that matters. And then the reason why this works super well is because, as somebody that does record a fair amount of content and does get a fair amount of outreach, so long as you keep this vague, so your video on paraphrase subject vague, the person, but vague, but like specific enough that they're not going to think it's total bullshit. The person on the other end of the line is just going to assume that you've actually read their content because they get a lot of these if they have like any sort of renown. So what does this mean? This means if you're like a coach or a consultant, aka that audience that I'm looking for, and you're a spirituality coach, and you get a message being like, your video on finding yourself is an exceptionally well executed educational piece of content, claps to that. You're going to read that and you're going to be like, wow, this person actually read my stuff. That's pretty cool. Or wow, this person actually watched my stuff. Sick. Digital product, I'm obviously going to slap school in here. I'm going to massage it a little bit, but when you send stuff out like this, you identify yourself really briefly. I've worked with Social Proof. You have the Social Proof. You sort of give your offer because you also mention I work mostly on performance. And then, you also have the personalization. So basically what I'm trying to say is you checked all 4 of those boxes. Okay. But I want you to look. Once you know the rules and once you insert all of the things into a piece of copy, like look at the variance of this. Hey, Nick, if I could help you connect to people looking for your automation services in exchange for commission on closed revenue traditional program, would you explore that often? I don't even know who this guy is, but this is like the dude that sent me an email, or at least it was the name of the mailbox. This is something that breaks the rules, but it still works pretty well. If I could help you connect to people looking for a specific service in exchange for commission on closed revenue through some sort of traditional referral agreement, would you explore that option? It's short, invites a lot of curiosity. With the right subject line, I would do reasonably well. We're gonna use all these, by the way, so you'll be able to hold me to my beliefs throughout the course of the rest of the video. Next one over here. Hey, first name, big fan. I made a high converting ad for product name as part of an internal demo for my team the other day. We do performance marketing. Do you want to see it? For deliverability, I don't send these up front, but just reply and I can link you. It's on Loom. TLDR, I've worked with big name here, big name there, and driven over a big amount of money here. If you like the ad, I can walk you through. We can drive more people to your school community, no strings or anything. Hey, first name, you think about selling the next 6 to 12 months. I've watched a couple of your vids and connected to a buyer network that's constantly looking for deals in niche. This is interesting, but a common need in cold email is, you're like company that is looking to acquire other companies. You're doing some sort of private equity roll-up or something like that. So I just wanted to include this as an example in today's video so you guys could see how you would reach out to somebody like that. What you do is you tease the hell out of them. In the subject line, they're going to see you think about selling in the next 6 to 12 months, and whatever the heck you're doing, you're going to be like, whoa, okay, somebody wants to buy my shit. Well, I might as well see how much money they're willing to buy. And then once I've watched a couple of your vids, assuming they're a content creator, no strings, let me know. It can be an all cash or financed offer in the next week or so. Also happy to call your number if that's easier. This is the easiest thing ever. Of course, you're at least going to say yes. And this is actually a real email that I got from this smart guy, Mark Nicholson, who was just crushing it. So you can see he's head of sales over at this, firm. It's in New York. So I'm just naturally going to assume it's big. He even then gave me a little PS. He pulled from my LinkedIn. He doesn't know that I know. And I'm showing potentially thousands of people. But he pulled from my LinkedIn, which says that it's in San Francisco. And I specifically do that because the best emails are always sent to people in San Francisco. And it says, hey, saw you were in San Francisco. Did you try this really cool restaurant? And I was like, what a smart cookie. So yeah, assuming it's a big enough offer, this is pretty cool too. Okay, so just working my way down the stack. I mean, I'm not going to read all of them, but we are going to use a bunch of these. Hopefully you could tell we have most of the same elements. We have some form of identification, whether it's direct identification or it's in like the subject line like this. If it's like a company name, we'll literally mention the company name. A lot of them seem extraordinarily like personal, direct. It's like, man, I've been following this person for so long. I just really want to reach out to them and see if they, if I could help them. That's the vibe that just tends to work well in cold email. Okay. It's not the whole like 45% of buyers in your area talk about the need for this. They don't like that. That's not what works well. What works really well is you essentially writing the entire email in such a way that it seems like you just sat down and fervently tried to put it out, right at like literally the time of sending, and not like you prepared it or anything like that. Okay. So with that said, let's move over to Instantly, which is going to be the cold email platform I'm going to be doing the sending on. What I have set up here is I have something like 100 mailboxes, which is a pretty ridiculous sort of volume, to be honest. Most of these are pre-warmed, which just means I bought these and then I immediately could start sending the same day, although some of these are disconnected. If you run a business, don't be surprised if you get an email from me sometime in the next couple of days, because I'm sending quite a large volume and I'm testing a lot of things to see which works. Eventually you get down to the ends, and then I believe you get into like my actual nick at. But, just note that these are all mailboxes that I could use. And the main benefit to me using them is I just get to use them like immediately for campaigns. So I don't know exactly how many I'm going to do per campaign. I'm going to try and get most of my emails out like in the next like 48 hours or so, because I don't have to wait too long to do a follow-up video. But yeah, I'm just going to sign a bunch of these. And then if it's the first time that you're using Instantly, that's how the mailboxes work. But then you also need to like create campaigns. And the way that I always do things is I'm going to have 16 variants, right? Like we talked about. I have 2 niches. So this is PPC, and then we also have coaching. From those 2 niches, I'm going to have 2 offers, right? This is going to be offer 1, then offer 2. Each of these offers are then going to have 2 lead scraping mechanisms, if you guys remember. Same thing over here. And then finally, each of these are going to have 2 variants. So it's going to be like variant 1, variant 2. So in order for you to do this structure, what you have to do, and it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. You have to make, I believe, 8 campaigns, because you need different audiences for a different offer for a different PPC. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then 1 here, 1 here. So it's going to be 8 in total, and each of these is going to have 2 variants on the initial send. If that makes no sense to you, don't worry about it. We're going to build it all out live. Anyway, to start, I'm just going to press this 8 times. I always just do this really quickly to instantiate a bunch of campaigns. And then naming conventions vary, but I just like to name it with the audience. So this is going to be PPC. So it's the first thing on that list, the offers. So I just got to make sure I remember what these offers are, because I wouldn't eat myself lunch. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. I'm grouping these together because this is a quantifiable outcome-based offer. And then let's do this stuff. Then let's do this stuff as well. Okay. So what are we going to get? We're going to get brand sniping, outcome-based, welcome sequence, outcome-based. So that's how I'm going to pitch this. This is going to be PPC, brand sniping. This is going to be PPC outcome. This is going to be PPC brand sniping. This is going to be PPC outcome. I'm doing different here because this is going to be my first lead gen campaign, first lead scraping, second lead scraping here. Then we're going to do coaches, welcome, email, coaches, outcome, coaches, welcome email, coaches, outcome. Then finally, we're going to have the specific lead scraping mechanism. So if you guys remember, I did air scale, then I did vein. Then here I did air scale. Actually, no, sorry, I did vein for these. And then finally, I did school scraper for these last ones. Okay, great. So now I'm going to click continue 8 times, and we're just very quickly going to spin up all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's sweet. Once I'm done with this, the first thing it's going to ask us to do is to add some leads. So you could go through and you could add all your leads right now. I'm just going to add my leads after just because that's administrative and I don't have to show you guys it. Instead, I'm going to go over to sequences and I'm just going to Alt-Tab and add a bunch of these sequences. And then PPC is going to have a different sort of copy than coaches, obviously, because, I can't really use like that exact same offer because a lot of the stuff is like content based, right? But I know for sure I'm going to send this offer or some variant of this offer to all of my coaches. So I'm just going to paste this in. And when I'm pasting it in, I'm doing, let's just delete this. When I'm pasting it in, what I'm doing is I'm holding Command-Shift-V. This allows me to paste in the email without any formatting, which is really important. Then this first one here, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Obviously I'm going to have to adjust this, but I'll say, school system for you. And then I'm probably going to do first name. That sounds pretty cool. I'm not going to be able to do that for Vane. Sorry, I'll be able to do that for school. So we'll go school system for you, school system for you. And then back here, maybe I'll just say system for you, Nick. I'm going to go lowercase here because I'm just like vibing with the lowercase stuff. Cool. That looks reasonable to me. Is school system for you the best way of putting it? No, not necessarily, but you could also experiment with literally just like first name, by the way. But I'm going to iterate on all these variables later. Okay, so that's literally just like variant one, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make some changes, of course. But next up, I'm going to do the same thing for the first 4 campaigns, which are all going to be PPC basis, on a PPC basis. So I really like this short one. Doesn't seem super amazing, but keep in mind that we're going to be testing a lot. I am just going to add my own name here. I'm just going to add some new lines, which I suppose I could have done before. Okay. That looks pretty reasonable. It's not going to be automation services. It's going to be ads. That's fine. I really like this. I really like this. So now I'm going to go add variant, add variant, add variant, add variant. Now I'm going to say, hey, first name, we haven't been properly introduced yet, but I sent you an invite on LinkedIn. Whether or not I actually did isn't super important. It's important that they got the impression that I did. And then if I can go and get them to check their LinkedIns to see whether or not I sent them a request, that's even better. The reason why is because now they're essentially investing a little bit in me, at least enough time to like hold Command T, go to LinkedIn.com, check their recent invitations and check whether or not I sent them something. And then I can even buy them their response because they're going to say, oh, sorry, I didn't see that you sent me a thing on LinkedIn. What are you talking about? Or something, which at least now opens the chain. And then I can, put something in front of them, or I could record them a custom video or whatnot. Okay, so that's number 1. This is going to be number 2, 3, number 4. And then for the variants on these, I'm thinking I'll probably go super deep with the hey first name right here. So this is like hyper customized, or at least it provides the perception of hyper customization. Okay, great. Now that we have 8 different like templates set up, all we have to do is we have to adjust these depending on the specifics. So like I'm going to make adjustments to them because the PPC campaigns from leads on AirScale are going to be different from the the outcome-based campaigns on AirScale. They're going to be different from the brand sniping angle, the outcome angle, the coach's welcome email angle, outcome, and so on and so forth. Obviously, I'm selling something different every time, so I have to make some changes, right? I also have to add some subject lines and whatnot. So I'm going to hammer away at that, and then when I'm done, I'll just show you guys the results. No use for me just poking around until I figure out what works. But then you guys are going to be able to use these templates in your own outreach. Although keep in mind that I highly recommend not just copying and pasting the same thing I'm copying and pasting. You're obviously going to want to make some changes, just like I'm going to make some changes here. Okay, I had some fun putting together these email campaigns. As you see, we have 2 sequences per campaign. We have a brand sniping campaign and an outcome campaign for PPC, and then a brand sniping campaign and then an outcome campaign for Vane. I then sorted all of my leads out here so that I could just take a look at whatever fields I had available to me to try and increase the rate of the personalization. Then we had a welcome and an outcome campaign for Vane, and then a welcome and then an outcome campaign for school. And I've gone through and I've, duplicated where it makes sense, made a couple of changes depending on the products and stuff like that. And here's what we ended up with. So the variety of, different approaches that I've taken, but I just wanted to run you guys through a couple. This is a long form one that essentially is being pitched to people that own school communities and other information products. It reads, "Hey, first name, have been sub to your channel for over a year. A couple of your early vids genuinely changed the path I was on. Thank you. I want to give you some value because you helped me tremendously, and I think it's only fair to do the same in return. I used to work in management consulting in a past life before learning about you. This is just to, increase the perceived personalization of the content and make it seem like they had a really big impact on us. Keep in mind that it doesn't really matter what they're talking about. Odds are they have." If they're on the top 1,000 of the school discovery, they're doing pretty well. And so their content probably is just above average. This is actually a pretty interesting point, but you don't really need to personalize stuff. You just need to write it in a way where the person thinks that it's personalized. And there are a bunch of little tweaks and hacks that allow you to get away with that. This is one of them. Another way that makes your message sound significantly more personalized is when you just offer a bunch of information without being asked. So I used to work in management consulting in a past life before learning about you. We routinely helped SMBs go from modest monthly revs like 20K to $5 million a year or more. I did this pretty much every day. It was interesting, but soul crushing. Story for another time. That's just an example of pro offering information. Anyway, because of my experience, I can say quite confidently that you are currently losing something like $30,000 a month, primarily because they're not monetizing enough in a few classic ways. Classic ways makes it seem like something I've seen before, something I'm very used to. This may be a small sum to you, perhaps not, but in my old role, we'd see this all the time and basically immediately deliver a 5 to 10x ROI when solving it. Basically, your school plus product line is leaving an enormous amount of money on the table. Here is my offer. Do you want me to fix this for you? I would 100% guarantee I can make you at least amount in the next time period. Probably paltry compared to what is possible given the growing audience. Again, I'm just making assumptions here, but it's next to none of your time and I could start today. Just putting this out there as you taught me a lot. If you're even halfway interested, let me know and I can give you a ring / send you a brief calendar invite for the chat in the next day or two. Either way, thanks again. You'll notice that at no point in time am I pitching an AI service. And this is another core point that I want to make. You don't need to be pitching a specific service because a lot of the time the specific service pales in comparison to the value of just the outcome that you are offering, the transformation essentially that you are pitching. So it's a pretty big thing in sales. What is the obvious transformation we're pitching here? We're positioning ourselves as somebody that's capable of driving disproportionate outcomes at revenue figures they are probably near, right? I mean, most of these people aren't making $3 million a year. They're probably making $15,000, $20,000 a month. They're somewhere on that part of the school scale. I'm pitching $30,000 a month here as sort of opportunity costs. So now it's a fear of loss. How am I losing that money? This may be a small sum, perhaps not. I'm just assuming, that it is not going to be a small sum for them just because it's a very large sum for most people. Classic cold reading. And then, I'm positioning it as hey, I could 100% guarantee that I would make you at least this much money in the next 2 months. I don't even clarify what the guarantee is because I'm trying to get them on the call. If I can get people that are at the top of this big community money train on a call, I consider that win enough, but odds are there's probably something I'd be able to do for them, AI or not. So literally no mention of AI or anything like that here, but that's one of the campaigns. This is another campaign that, again, makes use of perceived personalization, not actual personalization. So this one's your first name, your content had me hooked, watched you for 40 minutes yesterday. Extremely refreshing, so much circular edutainment content in the industry right now, so I appreciate you being real. This is another one of those things where, if somebody is on this chart, odds are they do good, high-quality stuff, and they probably agree that there's a lot of circular bullshit out there. Then I talk about the money I've generated on school, helping a variety of communities, mostly in the money category. Keep in mind, I have 2 communities in the money category, so I'm just talking about myself. It was a little surprising to me when I saw you had one, as I wasn't expecting that from you. Not a bad thing. So again, we're pro-offering a bunch of additional information. And then here I'm actually pitching the sequence. So TLDR, what I'm offering is a really high converting welcome sequence plus email course that you drip out alongside access to your course modules. It reduces churn a ton. We're talking 3 to 5%. And if you tie in engagement tasks, you also get a significant boost in activity. All in all, quite the hack right now. Most of the top people are running something similar. This is, of course, just implying all sorts of associations with people at the top. And then the offer is, would you be open to me making you one? I basically do email flows all day, would fix this completely. Plus, I work mostly on performance, so it'd be a win-win. I'd build it from your content 100% in your tone of voice, and then create the email course from your stuff in school. Zero work on your end, and would guarantee you a revenue bump or churn decrease, whatever you prefer, or you'd pay $0. So now I do have like an actual dollar sign in the offer. A couple more, maybe I'll do this one over here. This is brand sniping for Vane. So hey, first name, I work with a $2 million a year performance marketing firm out in Calgary. Of course, I do work with a $2 million a year performance marketing firm out in Calgary. I actually own a part of it. I know you guys do PPC too. I'm not sure of dental, but wanted to run this by you anyways. So what am I doing here? I'm feigning some form of, hey, I'm not sure if this. Why? Because if you're getting a cold email from somebody, very rarely will they say something like, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm not entirely clear. Because it is in the interest of most people that send cold emails to appear as if they just fucking know everything, right? So what we're doing here is we're just standing out. Essentially, we're I don't know, like adding a flaw to the email. And when you add flaws to emails, people just assume that it was human written. So to make a long story short, we've automated brand sniping for competitors with AI. It's been crushing. I've driven greater than $10 million in total now. Insane. ROAS for clients. This is a term that just means return on ad spends. TLDR AI system takes as input the URL of the page you're running ads for. One click automatically finds gem keywords, old school exact match stuff that you upload. It deletes competitors. I'm trying to install this in a few other agencies because I think it has legs. I'm extremely confident it'll work for you, so much that I do it 100% free, plus automate your first campaign just to prove it. I don't know what your ads look like based on your agency site. I imagine they're quite clean. Have I ever taken a look at their agency site? No. Would take just one click and a brief call. I'll do everything on my own within 72 hours. If you're open to it, just let me know. You know, a Vancouver firm or one of the first people I'm reaching out to about this can give you a quick ring in the day or two. Obviously, we're riding the line of plausible deniability with a few of these statements, but yeah, I mean, this seems as if I wrote it for the person, but I want you to know that I'm using no AI personalization here. I haven't done any research on the company whatsoever. I just have a couple little pivot words that just make it seem higher likelihood. I'm not even mentioning their company name, which is pretty wild. And then the last one is an outcome-based campaign that's very short, which says, hey, first name, know this is out of left field. If I could help you connect to people looking for BBC in exchange for a commission on closed revenue, traditional referral agreement, would you be open? I work mostly on performance. This is the key word here. And I have a big network. Media buy would be less variable, probably $5K a month or up. Let me know. Plus, if you're open to a chat in the next 40 hours, just shout. I can ring you. Thanks, Nick. I'm offering basically no information about who I am or what I do, aside from some brief identification. All I talk about is, if I could give you this, right? Basically send you leads and then take a small portion of it. Would you be open? Spoiler alert, everybody and their mom would be open to this relationship. I'm not exactly asking for a lot. Then I say I work mostly on performance, which gives myself plausible deniability that this is going to be some sort of like retainer agreement, and have a big network. Although keep in mind, the big network has nothing to do with this. What I'm offering to do here is I'm offering to generate them leads. And then because media buy is a term that you only kind of know if you're in the know, I drop in, I say media buy would be variable, probably $5K a month or up. That way it just makes it seem like these opportunities are reasonably sized. Most of the time, PPC agencies, I used to run one, charge something like 20 to 40% of media buy. Depends. It's all variable, depends on the industry. But yeah, this way it's like, okay, well, this is at least going to be worth some of my time. And then, I end with some sort of pitch. Okay, so these are all pretty simple. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add simple follow-ups. The follow-ups are going to be the same. They're just going to be like, hey, Pete, just wanted to check in on X, Y, and Z. And then once I'm done, I'm just going to upload the leads, double check the campaigns, and then let her rip. Okay, and there are the 4. I'm going to do the next message in one day. Essentially, I'm going to be sending these 2 to 50% of my audience and then 50% of my audience. And then all of them 24 hours later will receive this. Just going to double check all the variables now. So hey, first name, just checking in again. So first name variable should populate. Sending account first name. This may not. There have been some errors instantly recently. I just want to check, make sure there are no spelling mistakes. As you see, I don't really care too much about the follow-up because that's not that important to me. Recoaching. Okay. Subject lines all look good. When you leave an email empty, you use the previous subject automatically, so that's fine. Let's delete this now. Let's just save all of these. Always make sure you save. And then let us now format our emails and just make sure they're nicely formatted. So I'm just going to go through all of mine. And then what I want to do is over here, it says clean HTML. So just give this button a click. Vast majority of the time, emails have no HTML, but this is something that takes you just a few seconds. And if it catches the 1% of circumstances where it does, it'll save you some money. Okay, next up, I'm going to do the same thing here. Clean. And then finally, I'll do the same thing for the follow-ups. So now I'm cleaning, 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 cleaning. And then cleaning. Okay, great. And now we're ready to upload our leads. This is sort of like the second last step. Once we're done uploading, we're going to preview them. So I'm just going to go back to the very first one. That was the brand sniping campaign, then the outcome, brand sniping outcome, welcome, outcome, and then welcome, outcome. And basically what we have to do is we have to go to our sheet, the one that I unfortunately just closed for some reason. We just have to export all of these. So I'm going to export all these right now, and then I'm going to import them into our campaigns. So I'm going to start by exporting the very first lead list, then the second lead list. Just make sure I'm not selecting anything while I'm doing that. Let's go over to the air scale and outcome leads. First one's going to be air scale. Second one's going to be outcome. Next, we'll do the vein leads. Vein 1, vein 2. We'll add CSV, CSV, and then we'll go 1, 2. Next, we'll do coaches. It's going to be 1. It's going to be 2. Then finally, we're going to need school, which I'm very excited about, which will be 1. And 2. This will be the first half. This will be the second half. Okay, now what we have to do is we just have to verify that all of these leads are correct. So email is going to go to the email column, first name, last names, find LinkedIn URL, result title. These are okay. And I'm not actually using anything else, so we're good. Just going to set myself as the owner. I'm going to upload all of them. Then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of this, set myself as the owner. Then I'm going to upload all of them. I'm just going to do the same thing. So email here. Valid email. It doesn't look like I'm seeing any emails. So, I mean, I'm just going to want to use the valid email, I take it. Okay, we have the first name here, last name. This is the LinkedIn ID. It doesn't really matter. And then what else did we need, really? First name, last name. That's it. Pretty sure I stuck to first name, last name for literally all of these. Just because I wanted to show you guys what you could do with next to no personalization. So this is the email here. This one is a do not import. Cool. Next one, it's going to be email here. First name, last name, cool. And we're going to do email over here in verified land. We're starting to run into slightly more duplicates. That's okay. Reason for that is just because some of these people exist in multiple places, right? Let's make sure the first name looks good. We're going to run into some issues with some of these leads. Not all of them have perfectly sanitized first names, which is unfortunate. As you can see, we're running into some errors with a few of them, but that's okay. Let's go back here, connect the emails. Okay, emails seem fine. Okay, let's preview this. So send from Aaron, and I'm just going to pick some random person here. Cool. What we need is sending account first name, really. So I'm going to go back here and go sending account first name. When we preview this, we should have Aaron. Cool. Let's just change everything for sending account first name. Just to be super, super clear here. Okay, all these look good. We'll come back in here. I'll go sending account first name. Cool. Send from this too. Send from this as well. Doesn't look like I'm getting first names. Why is that? Just because we don't have any leads? Oh yeah, no, that's fine. That looks good. Do the same thing here. You really don't want to mess up with just like a couple of something as simple as your sending account first name. That would blow. That's why it's always worth doing these checks manually. Recoaching Alexi. I don't really like that name. So I think I'm just going to change this so that it says recoaching space. The reason why is because when you misspell stuff, it makes it seem more human written, right? So we're leveraging that as well. This is not using the right sending account first name. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Save. Save. Let's preview one of my many leads. Hey, Scott. Thanks, Aaron. Cool. Do the same thing over here. Preview this. Aaron. Hamlet. Hey, Hamlet. Cool. Just a couple more left. Okay, we should have all the leads we need. So now I'm just going to set the sending volume of interest. So sending volume of interest, why don't we do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll go 10 accounts per campaign. Okay. So we just added 10 accounts here. The last one was, let's see, Joseph at Crafta. So I'm going to go below Joseph and I'll go Kimberly, Mary, Morgan, Natalie. And we should have some more, no? Okay, there we go. Nicole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just want to send these as myself because most people know who I am, and I just think that would be kind of unfair. First email, text only. All of them are going to be text only. Save this, save this. Okay, cool. And then for the rest, I'm just going to send them as nicks for the most part because I got a lot of nicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks good to me. We have 8 campaigns and 80 emails, so it should be fine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm doing this because I want to segregate deliverability. When you do this, if there are any deliverability issues, you can then just suspend the specific mailboxes. Kind of a hack, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I just got to make sure the schedules are right. Because I want to get results this weekend, I'm just going to set a weekend schedule. I'm going to say Monday to Saturday, we're going to do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Probably not going to actually send like all the way to the 7 p.m. That's okay. But I am going to paste all these in. And then what I want is we're just going to go to 7 for all of these. The reason why is because we want to catch people first thing in the morning. And then if for whatever reason we were sending a lot of email, And so we had tons of emails, and we also had tons of waits between the emails. I would want to send a little bit after most people get home. Because, if you're a business owner or whatever, you're basically married to this thing, right? Um, you get home, you'll check your email inbox regardless. Then we're just going to check Saturday for all of these. Once we're done, I'm just going to save all of them. And once we're done with that, we can now resume each of these campaigns. Okay, I'm setting these live. Now, it's coming up on 7 p.m., so these should now start sending. Eastern time, actually. So no, that was 5 my time. So we're going to send all of these earlier tomorrow morning. And because most of these are, Eastern and Canadian or American, I meant to say, we should get a bunch in tomorrow, Saturday. So yeah, that's about it in a nutshell. I have no idea what the results are going to be, but I'm going to keep you guys posted on them. And then when I get them in, either Sunday or Monday, I'm going to record sort of a follow-up video just showing you guys all of the results. We're going to anonymize the data, and then I'm actually going to take all of the replies, put them in a Google Sheet, and then give them all to you guys live, just so you can see the sorts of questions that people typically ask, because I never run a lead gen campaign or something like that. And then you guys could see how to build out things like macros and whatnot, which I'll cover in future Watch Me Start and Sell series. Thank you very much. I'm going to go grab some dinner, and then I'll see all y'all, hopefully, on the other side of the finish line. Cool. So results so far have been interesting. I haven't replied to any of these yet, which is not really ideal. If you are running an actual cold email campaign like this at scale, if you're doing any sort of selling or demand generation, you should ideally be replying to all incoming emails within the first 5 or 10 minutes. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but before I do, let's just run through the results. I'll note that we had a problem with one of the campaigns here, that last school one, just because I added that last. And it turns out those same emails were in a bunch of the previous data sets that I fed in, specifically the coaches from Vane and then the coaches from school. Instantly automatically deduplicates all incoming records and compares them against all the other ones in your campaigns. And I just had like a lot of those emails in previous campaigns. So unfortunately, we didn't actually add anywhere near as many as I thought. I only added 37, and then we didn't get any results. Oh well, not the end of the world. Things like this happen. What's cool is the previous school campaign had a reply rate of almost 11%, which is quite frankly bonkers. Very rare to get 11% reply rates on campaigns, but I'll run you guys through why in a moment. So yeah, first thing I always do every time I have campaign results come in is I'll just look at like the reply rates generally. Okay. And then I'll look at the opportunity rate or the positive reply rate. So the brand sniping AirScale PPC campaign came in at a 2.2% reply rate so far of 177. That's not really enough data to know for sure what's going on, but right now it is reasonably promising. That means that so far we have a 1.1% positive reply rate, basically, assuming the opportunity tracker or whatever is valid, which it is not always. Then the outcome AirScale campaign for PPC had it looks like a 3.9% reply rate, which was 7. 2 of those were positive. If you do the math on that, I think that's like, let's see, what's 2 divided by 7 times 0.039? That's a 0.11 as well. So these are actually, if it's mostly signal and not noise, these are actually the same, which is pretty interesting. PPC brand sniping Vane campaign. That's pretty interesting. That's 1.3%. 1/6 of that is positive, so only 0.2% reply rate, pretty weak. But then if we look at the outcome campaign for Vane, we have 11 replies and then 7 of them being positive. This puts us at the highest positive reply rate campaign so far. That's about 2% or so positive replies. In general, that means that we send 50 emails and then one of them says, "Hey, this sounds really interesting. I'm open to it." As I'm sure you can imagine, if you send at any sort of scale, like if you send 500 emails a day or whatever, you can get massive results with that. That's like 10 replies. This one over here is about 1.2% or so, which is also pretty positive. This one over here is, oh geez, my math ain't so good. They should really have a positive reply rate column here, but they don't. But half of that's like a 1.5. And then this one over here is like a 3.5 to 4% positive reply rate. And just to illustrate how ridiculous that is, again, if I send 25 emails to people on this list, one of them will come back saying, "Hey, that sounds really interesting. I'm curious. What do you have to say about this? How do we proceed?" So yeah, I mean, just from like a booking perspective, that's kind of bonkers. But this is just superficial. How do we actually go and see? Well, in total, I mean, let's just count up first of all the replies we got. So 16 plus 16 plus 11 plus 11 plus 6 plus 7 plus 2. So 69 replies so far, which is quite honestly insane. 69 replies to our campaigns. Let's see how they're distributed and what they look like. So I'm going to head over here to the Unibox on Instantly. And now I'm going to run through top to bottom and just show you guys what actual responses look like. You're going to see that they're going to be a blend of people asking follow-up questions about the service, people saying, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting, people telling me to go screw myself. All this stuff is very common in cold email. So you just need to start getting used to like the diversity of responses if you really want to do well. This was a pretty positive reply. We just got a, hey bro, let's chat more. Obviously, this is relatively good. This is the sort of thing that we want. Unfortunately, we didn't get any more clarification. So, had I replied immediately, higher likelihood of getting this closed. What's interesting is we sent this on a Saturday and we sent this really early. So there is something to be said about sending on the weekends. A lot of people don't, but I always like doing it. This person expressed some interest over how I got their email address. Pretty standard. A lot of people are just like, hey, I've hidden my email address specifically so I don't get outreach. How the hell did you get it? This is still some interest, a positive reply. They are genuinely interested in how you got their email address. And what you can do is you could actually just explain your scraping pipeline. If this is something that they suffer from, then I have had instances in the past where people that are interested enough in how I did that they're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. You actually built a scraper. This fellow over here just says, yo, I'd be open to chatting. That's cool. As you can see, I'm using some pretty like casual language here. Yo, Tom, what's going on? And I'm being replied to in that same casual way, which is pretty neat. This fellow over here is the unfortunate consequence of my AI making some errors. You're going to get stuff like this. I want you guys to know that the marginal cost of sending an email is basically near zero. And so it just makes sense to send more emails than you are doing personalized stuff with. In my case, this guy's saying, hey, have your AI give my profile a closer look. I've sold all this stuff and I've made way more money than you're suggesting. That's okay. Like I'm fine taking an L on the chin every once in a while. It's not like this cost me really anything aside from some, like 4 cents or something like that to scrape the lead. So know that you're going to get replies from people that don't necessarily fit the assumptions and suggestions that we're making, and that's totally okay. This fella liked my offer so much that he went as far as to actually schedule a time the week of November 10th, which was incredible. Super stoked to see that. Obviously means that this is working reasonably well. We have somebody that's so stoked that they're actually going to book a call with me. I don't think I'm going to be able to use my real name in any of these emails, especially ones I'm using for demos, because this person is specifically saying, hey man, I love your stuff. I've saw you on school. So let's just not use my real name anymore when I'm doing demonstrative ones. You guys aren't probably going to get replies like this, right? This fellow was so stoked that he's open to a 15-minute meeting and he even gives me a time. No bullshit. I love him. We're going to get a couple of stops for sure, or unsubscribes, or go screw yourself. That's just part of the game when you're doing cold email. This person got back to me saying, what did you have in mind? That's cool. If you were to address this positive reply in practice, you would ideally want some sort of template or macro where you just have like a list of info points about your service. Hey, to make a long story short, X, Y, and Z. And then, you provide some context. Then assuming that they like what they have to say, you follow up with them religiously, they, book a call with you. This fella is another consequence of me just making some assumptions in emails. That's okay. This was a very positive reply. Not only did we get the reply itself, but the guy sent this over to his business partner, making it seem so customized that he's actually interested enough to connect. This is an example of a positive negative reply, if that makes sense. So this person thanked us for reaching out and then said that we're focused on providing value for people building their stuff on school or YouTube. We're not interested in additional marketing or monetization methods. So that's actually pretty cool. This person seems like they have their life in order. Couple of stops, couple of unsubscribes, again, to be expected. This person says, happy to discuss the offer. We could actually explore it for name of company. Please share case studies and screenshots of school earnings in advance. So that's cool. Assuming that you are, and you should always be pitching an offer that you have actually helped other people get, pitching social proof and results that you actually can confidently claim were yours. This is pretty straightforward. I would just take a screenshot of my school dashboard. This one's interesting. We got a positive reply back, but then our main focus isn't on PPC as a standalone offering. Look for companies that need full marketing support. So whether or not this person wants my service, I'm still going to push to try and get on a call with them. This person goes as far as to say, sure, great. So that's pretty awesome. This is to our short campaign, the one that says, hey, no, this is out of left field, but if I could help you connect with people looking for PPC in exchange for whatever. These are the sorts of short replies you're going to get to short campaigns in general, which is good. This one's asking a question about the specific channel that I subscribe to. Odds are this person doesn't have a channel, but because I said I've been subscribed to your channel for a long time or something like that, it's one of those mistakes, which is unfortunate. We want some follow-ups to explain a little bit more about my offering, generally positive. This person goes as far as to say, I'm open to this. What would the next steps be? Very positive. I think this guy looks at my channel, which is unfortunate, but anyway, still relatively positive reply. You guys aren't going to get stuff like this unless you have wild social proof, but this one's so positive. It's literally, I am available whenever you want us to meet. I like that. We got a positive reply. There's some weird email formatting stuff here, so I just had to actually select it. But this is very common for us. We have referral structures in place. What you're describing aligns really well, et cetera, et cetera. So that's pretty positive. This fella says, sure, which is great. Obviously, we need to follow up if we want to convert this into a paid opportunity, but Frankie's pretty stoked about this, so much so that he wants to set up a call literally tomorrow to discuss. This fella here says, let me know what time works for a quick call tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday. This fella goes as far as saying, you could join my collective. Let me circle back soon. What's your pricing? Now, generally speaking, when I have people that say, let me circle back soon, I actually don't find that I convert many of them to meetings or to any sort of paid opportunities. I don't know why, but just in my experience, knocked on a lot of doors, made a lot of cold calls and sent a lot of cold emails. I would still obviously do everything I can here, but is what it is. This person actually forwarded the email that I sent over to somebody else and then did it to me by accident, like CC'd me and then said that was supposed to be forwarded to one of my teammates. Very positive, obviously. He even says seems to be legit, which is pretty fun. Got a good looking unsub over here. You gotta love when people specifically say unsub. It's very easy for you to just automatically opt them out of a campaign. This fella said, interested in chatting. Let's do it. Thank you. That's pretty positive. Got another basically word for word. Yes, I'd be interested in chatting. Let me know what your schedule looks like this week. Wow, we are getting a lot of interested in chatting / interested in discussing, but yeah, that's cool. This person says, no thanks, not right now. Also, not that bad. This is a positive enough reply that I would actually probably reply back with something like, hey, Pete, thanks so much for getting back to me. Sounds great. Big fan of you as mentioned. So are you okay if I send you a connection request on LinkedIn? And now you have them in your network. So if you publish content about the stuff that you are selling, you essentially naturally get to nurture them. Later on down the line, they see your social proof. They'll actually re-engage. Got a thanks, not interested. Got a yes, I just replied on my other email. That's pretty positive. This one expresses a very valid question, which is I'm interested to know how you can 100% guarantee I can make you at least $25,000 in the next 2 months. What are the details of what you offer? This is a positive reply, although just note, if you work with somebody that just asks you point blank like this through an email, you do have to demonstrate some level of feasibility here. You can't just, because I'm really confident in it. No, you obviously have to reply, talking about how you'd execute it and then clarifying that I would guarantee you this result or I'd continue working for free until I do. I know that, delivering value ahead or upfront is how you get ahead in this industry, so I'm willing to do it to get my foot in the door. Something like that. Got a solid no from Jason. Thanks, buddy. This was a very positive negative reply, so I appreciate the outreach. Don't have interest in monetizing that way. Your outreach is some of the better ones I've seen in a while. Keep up the good work. So that's pretty solid, right? Because this person's assuming I actually did all that research when I didn't do any of that research. I just created a really good cold email campaign with basically no personalization. I want you guys to know that you don't need AI to make good personalization nowadays. If you're smart enough, you can make anything sound personalized. This is a good example of it. This person is basically trying to flip the script on me and then saying, we offer commissions for referrals that turn into clients. Tell me about your company, what you're envisioning here. Still pretty positive. Mind you, this is in response to my referral campaign, which basically repackaged the idea of lead gen as a referral mechanism instead. But keep in mind that the whole idea here is I would use that to get them on a call where I'd explain to them yes, I generate leads on your behalf. Here's how the offer works. And then, I try and sell them from there. This person specifically asks, what's the YouTube profile? Do you have a channel? What would the cost be? So I would probably reply with a link to my YouTube channel. I probably wouldn't mention the cost directly in the email. What I would do is I would say something along the lines of, hey, the cost range is quite variable. We work mostly on performance. The vast majority of your payment will go towards that. But I guarantee a certain amount of results before you even get to that point. So if you want to chat, let me know. This fellow over here says, I don't understand your offer. What are you proposing that you could help with? Fair question. So this could be two things. One, I could genuinely not have explained my offer very well. So I would take this as a positive signal to try and make my offer better. Or, if this is the only one I get, and let's say 100 replies, then odds are this person just misunderstands my offer, or I don't actually have to clarify it anymore. What I find is interesting is a lot of people get negative replies to a cold email campaign or something, and then they will actually shape their entire cold email strategy around satisfying the needs of these negative replies like this. But if you only get a signal 1 or 2% of the time that your thing is bad, don't cater to the 1 or 2%. Cater to the 98% of the people that are hey, this is really interesting. This person actually watched a couple of my videos on automation, so they don't apply. And then we got a fairly straightforward remove from list over here. Okay, so I got even more replies than that, but I just wanted to run you guys through sort of top to bottom what you can expect if you do something like this. Next up, I'm just going to reply to all of these emails. Again, I want you to know that ideally I would have replied to these within a few minutes, but I just wanted to be able to batch all these and then go through them all in one video recording, as opposed to me recording 50 videos every 5 minutes as they came in. But yeah, after that, essentially what we do is we try and push these to as many meetings as humanly possible, book them on our calendar, variety of different ways to do so. I'll talk a little bit about that soon. Okay, so how does one actually reply to emails like this? It's pretty easy. Bottom of the page, every time you click on a reply, says reply. So just click on it. Then you'll be presented with a page that looks like this, at least on Instantly. Obviously, your own platforms or other ones are going to vary. From there, you want to go down to reply macros. Reply macros basically allows you to add a few templates that automatically pre-fill with the information of the person. Information will be relegated to the variables that are in the lead record. So if you don't have like first name or last name in the thing, you can't obviously use them. But I recommend just always building out a couple that looks something like this. So the first is build out a positive response campaign. So what this does essentially is it pre-fills with the person's name. Always reply positively to them immediately as quickly as possible. So thanks for getting back to me, person. And then just say something along the lines of, do you have time tomorrow morning or today? In this case, my template literally pre-fills with like some specific times. These are just like fake times. I just like pulled them out of my ass. I don't actually know if I'm available. So obviously you have to go through and you have to check your calendar and be like, okay, I'm not actually available that time. Today or Tuesday at this time and this time, let me know. I'll send an invite. When you get a positive reply from somebody that's interested in your services, you have to reply with something like this. Because if you don't, you're creating needless back and forth between you and then the prospect. So it's not just thanks for getting back to me. Do you have time this time? Goodbye. You have to say, thanks for getting back to me. Do you have time tomorrow morning? I can do this time or that time. Or if you have a calendar, please shoot it over and I'll happily book. You can also use mine if it's convenient. Thanks so much. Really looking forward to it, Nick. The reason why you have to do this is because think about like all of the steps logically that a lead has to go through in order to like actually be booked on your calendar and show up. So you have to send an email and then they have to respond positively. So that's already one step there, right? Then you have to reply back with whatever time or availability. And then they have to accept that time or availability. And then you have to send them a calendar invite, which they have to accept. And then they actually have to show up to the meeting. That's like 5 or 6 steps, right? So wherever possible, try and compress as many of these steps into just like one giant thing as you can. In my case, the way I always do that is I just give them everything they would need to make a decision, like right there in the reply. So yeah, it's like, you can either give me the time, and if that time works, then I'll immediately book you in. If these times don't work, then you can send me over your calendar and then I'll book it in for you. And then if those times don't work and you don't have a calendar, you can use my calendar and then find a time that works for you there. The probability of somebody not having availability is extraordinarily low. So obviously they're a lot likelier to do it. Okay, so that's macro number 1. I'd also recommend having a macro like positive response with questions. So thanks for getting back to me, person. That's not a problem. I get a variant of this question pretty often. And then I just pre-fill with some X, Y, and Zs. The reason I pre-fill with X, Y, and Zs is just because like odds are if you're starting an email campaign, you're going to have variable questions that maybe you can't really predict or prepare for. So for now, just do X, Y, and Z. When you find you get the same questions 5 or 10 times, just pre-fill it and then make a template being like positive response, but ask questions about this, and then you can select that one. And then same thing. Hopefully that really helps clarify. If so, would love to chat. Really think it's a no-brainer for a company name. Let me know if you're open for a call today at X or tomorrow at Y. Can also send over a calendar if that works. You can use mine if it's more convenient. Same exact idea here. We're just applying this to, if they have some questions, and we're always immediately asking for the meeting. That's like always have to push for the meeting 24/7. If you don't, your booking rates will plummet. Okay, now what if there's like a negative reply, but it's like a positive negative reply? Somebody says, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. We're not interested. They don't tell you to screw off, basically. Well, that's when you use a template that looks like this. So thanks for getting back to me, person. Sure thing. No hard feelings. If you're willing to keep in touch, should I add you on LinkedIn? I'd love to keep tabs on company name. All the best. Cheers, Nick. The reason why you do this is because, as I mentioned previously, even if the person doesn't want to work with you right now, they're at least a good enough person to like spin up an email thanking you for the outreach. And odds are they liked your outreach anyways. They like you, kind of the cut of your jib. If you send them a LinkedIn reply and then, as I mentioned, have some sort of ongoing posting going on or whatever, you can always add these people to some sort of tagged list. And in a couple of months, reach out to them. Hey, Pete, I remember we spoke a while back. Just want to say thanks for adding me back on LinkedIn. I love watching your profile and blah, blah, blah. Insert repitched offer here. So very valuable. You might as well get something out of these people. And yeah, that's a way to recoup your cost. Now, some people are also going to ask for a follow-up. They're not going to want to do it now, but they're going to want it in like a week or a month or something like that. So you should always have some sort of follow-up macro too. In my case, thanks for getting back to me. Sure thing, no rush. Let's keep in touch in the meantime. You look great. I'd love to follow up. Send you connect requests on LinkedIn. All the best. And then maybe like I'll follow up in X, Y, and Z, whatever the time period is. There's no way to really know. So you have to always manually fill this. And yeah, there are a bunch of other ones that you guys could build. Obviously, it depends on the product, depends on the service. But the whole idea here is you just want to reduce your friction to replying to these emails to the point where like you could literally just download one of the apps on your phone, because a lot of these cool email platforms now have apps on your phone that give you notifications. And when a notification comes in, you're like, oh, nice, positive reply. Click button, click macro, type 2 little things here, press enter. And if you can get like the time of replying down from, I don't know, on average, people reply after like a few hours. If you can get that down to like 5 or 10 minutes, you can improve your meeting booked rate dramatically. And not only your meeting booked rate, but also your conversion rate down the line. Because the sort of person that is going to reply within a few minutes is going to demonstrate like an aptitude and a willingness to maximize the client experience that they're going to think will reflect in the work that you do as well. Okay, this is another positive reply I got just a few moments ago. Did I screw up the name? I feel like I screwed up the name because we got like a couple of additional R's. Anyway, good example of replying really quickly. So let's go positive reply. Thanks for getting back to me. Do you have time? I can do Wednesday at this time as well. Let me know to send an invite. Okay, awesome. Let's just go Shelby. There we go. This is another positive one here saying that they're interested in discussing. So I'm just going to go positive response. And I'm also going to do that time just because that time is actually available for me. We'll book. Got another positive reply here. So let's just, oops, I picked the one with questions. Let's just do positive reply. The reason I'm adjusting this date is just because it's Monday right now. Okay, let's do another one. Just going to reply with good answer. That looks pretty solid. See, this is really, really fast. Takes me realistically like less than 30 seconds to reply to each of these. Especially the ones that don't have any questions, which, well, not like all of them, are a reasonable chunk of them. And yeah, like you just want to send like immediately. You don't want to like wait, a few days like I did. Cool. And then finally, our meetings are now starting to come in. We've only booked 3 in the last hour or so, but I've also responded to the vast majority of these just sort of after the fact. Ideally, I would have responded to these as the emails came in. Still looking pretty promising. I sent 6 replies. 3 of them so far I've booked. That's a reasonable approximation of probably the results you guys can expect as well. And here are the results from our campaign. So first of all, replies. We received 78 total replies. Okay, you can see a lot of these replies right over here. I'm obviously going to blur and obfuscate customer details and stuff like that. These are a mixture of positive, aka people saying, hey, this is awesome. I really want to move forward or have a call or whatever. Expressly negative, people telling us to go screw ourselves in all manner of fun ways. And then people asking follow-up questions about the service. So like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this and how it goes and so on and so forth. From this, 34 were opportunities. Opportunities just mean people that are asking us positive questions about the service or people that are expressly saying, hey, we should do this. From the 34 opportunities, we had 27 positive replies. And then we had 19, this is the number that just blows my mind, meeting requests. 19 people in just a few hours with 0 distribution asked us to have a meeting. They gave us their phone numbers. They said, sure, this sounds great. Let's do it. They said, hey, does tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. work for you for a 15-minute chat? These people that I've never met in my life and people that have 0 relation to me were so interested in the offer that I put in front of them, this magical inscription of words that I gave them in an email, that they wanted to book a meeting with me and move forward with the service. I want you guys to know that this is entirely possible for anybody. Cold outreach and really any sort of lead gen, I think, is the ultimate leveler. It is the class leveler. It is the status leveler. Hell, it's even the knowledge leveler. If you just get really good at doing this thing, it doesn't matter if you're some kid living in a Bangladeshi slum or somebody living in some super swanky high-rise office building funded by teams of million-dollar companies. Your ability to get results is the exact same. So yeah, I mean, this puts us at a cost per meeting of something like around $3 to $4. Now, this math here at the bottom is a little shaky just because depends on the number of mailboxes you have to send. It also depends on the platforms you're using to scrape leads. We did a combination of a bunch of different scraping mechanisms, but that's pretty bonkers. It's very rare that you're going to have a $3 to $4 cost per lead. Granted, want to be clear, not all these are going to be super qualified leads, but this is a pretty damn good place to start for anybody, whether you're early on in the business or later on scaling something that's, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or more. So what am I going to give you guys? I'm going to give you guys access to all the same templates that I used in this email. I think that we should should democratize these and also increase the bar and the standard of cold emailing more generally. So you guys are all going to have access to all the templates that I used in a big Google Sheet. I'm also going to give you guys all of the positive replies, but I'm going to anonymize them, essentially, depersonalize them so you don't have the personal information. The reason why is because I want you guys to be able to prepare and know how to respond to these sorts of emails when they come up. Keep in mind, it's going to depend on the particular service. Keep in mind, it's always going to depend on what you're selling, how you're selling, and so on and so forth. But I think it's important that you guys see the sauce. I think it's important you guys see what actual people that are crushing it with any sort of outbound actually look at on a daily basis. And then I'm also going to give you guys all of my instantly macro templates so you guys could just copy and paste these into your own campaign. Keep in mind, a lot of people are probably going to watch this video. So if you guys really wanted to do well, you wouldn't just copy and paste it. You'd take these as inspiration, make some minor adjustments to it, and then go. And yeah, aside from that, I just want to leave you with, you can just do things. I just had this idea randomly on a Friday and just said, screw it, let's go. I crafted all this stuff up. I sent out a bunch of emails. Sure, I had to spend a little bit of money on things like leads and so on and so forth, but very few decisions that actually pay off in the long run in life are going to be free. So I just took a shot, and as you guys can see, this has already paid off massively. Okay? You guys know everything you need in order to achieve similar results. If you guys like this sort of thing, definitely check out Maker School. It's my 90-day accountability roadmap where I guarantee you, similar offer to what you guys probably saw throughout this video, your very first paying customer for an AI or automation service in 90 days, or you don't pay a cent, aka you get all your money back. It's also filled with a community of over 2,500 people employing the exact same strategies that you guys are seeing here. This works for any service. Hell, it works for any product. And future videos are going to show you guys how to market similar things, not just for, like AI-based services, but everything under the sun, from like SaaS to marketing. I think I might even dip my toes into e-com. Okay? Thank you guys very much for bearing with me. I know this is a long ass video, but hopefully you guys learned everything you need to know. Check out the link at the bottom of this video for resources. Have a lovely rest of the day. I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye.